All right, we are live. It is Sunday. I'm going to check the date real quickly for anyone who's watching. Sunday, August 20th. So, on to, and then are for you, as well as the full channel mode message at the end, and anything else that we do for the live. So, you can jump down there, skip ahead, and I'll see you for your reading. Otherwise, we're just going to hang out with the people who are showing up for the live today. Excuse me. Hi, Ruta Rosa Mimosa. Good to see ya. Leo, good to see ya. How's everybody doing today? Happy Sunday. Hey, Emma. How's everybody doing? Hey, Erica Jade. Good to see ya. Dragana, good to see ya. Excuse me. You look different. Good. Oh, thank you, Ruta. Yeah, got a haircut. Not sure if anything else is new. I've trimmed my beard. Kiara Jade, good afternoon. How are you doing? It is a new haircut, Dragana. Yeah, I got this last week, like the shirt too. Thank you, Emma. I really appreciate it. This is one of the ones I really like. So thank you. Thanks, Ruda. I appreciate it. Hey, Rebecca. I'm so glad to hear you love my videos. That's awesome. And I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Hey, Amy. Great to see you. Great to see you. I hope you're doing fantastic. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Love the earring. Yeah, thank you. I've had this the entire time, but I think it probably gets hidden when I wear like hats a lot or just beards or whatever. I don't know. Do you do live readings? So what I'll be doing for this one is just more collective readings or, timeless general readings, channeled readings and things like that. I did used to do a lot of live like Q and Channeled A was what I called it. And pretty much people could ask questions and sometimes it turned into a lot of readings. Live, I tend not to do that as much anymore. I'll do it if I'm guided to, if someone asks a question or especially like a general question about things. It really depends on the situation though. But it got very draining for me, and I found myself dealing with a lot of people's energies afterwards. Like I'd be like depressed for the next days or week, and I would do what I needed to do to clear it and stuff, but it just became more than I was willing to go through for this, if that makes sense. With doing like all the people, asking questions or, throwing energies around or, if people were really desperate or whatever. So, does your shirt have a dragon on it? It sure does. I know he's hiding behind the mic, but here's probably the one you'll see best, but this pattern kind of repeats on the shirt. Leo says, thank you for your recent abundance full channel video. It was so powerful. Energy field. That's amazing. Thanks for the feedback. I'm really glad to hear it. Really glad to hear it. Emma says, I feel like that's a common theme with people who channel on live, like other people's energies. It might be. Oh, no. I really appreciate that, Dragana. Nice to see you back. Thanks, Authentic Mystic. Good to see you too. Vibe with what you said about being depressed after channeling. I can relate. Yeah, and usually like for full channel mode, like if I'm doing like full channel mode, I feel great. Usually, whether it's video or people in person or whatever ends up happening, live. But for some reason, when it's just like a bajillion individual readings on a live, it's just something, I don't know what, I've done a lot for, to try and overcome that, but it just might not. I mean, I can do it and I'll do it when I'm guided to, and usually that works out well, but I'm not going to force it if it keeps being difficult, regardless of what I try, if that makes sense. So, oh, no worries, Jenna. Good to see ya. Authentic Mystic, you have not, as far as the live goes, you haven't really missed much. We're chatting. We're just having a chat a fireside chat before we start the readings or whatever we're doing today. So, hi Paige, good to see you. Jessica Jetson, how are you doing? I hope you are doing fantastic and doing really well out in the wide world. Stacy asks, are you going to be doing another intro to channeling class? Yes, I will. I'll probably schedule that for sometime next month. I'm about to be moving again, so but hey, Summerlay, so good to see you. I'm on CA Weather Watch. All right, well, hopefully it stays very calm for you and good for you. Totally. Jessica Johnson, good to see you too. And thanks so much for the love. I really appreciate it a lot. That means a lot. And it means a lot when people take time out of their day to do things like that for me. So thank you very much. Ooh, shuttle bus conversion? Heck yeah. Oh, well, I hope that goes very smoothly because that sounds awesome. Love the haircut. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. Excuse me. Okay, so we'll probably start the collective reading in just a second. I've also been sitting with potentially, instead of doing the by element, doing just like all the signs, all 12. My one hesitance with that is that when you get into like 12 different readings, it's either they have to be really short or it's going to turn into a 4-hour live, which has happened. Oh, thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. So that's my one hesitance. But maybe we'll try it out one of these lives and see how that goes. What feels best within me right now? The elements. Thank you for asking. Sometimes like I'll talk. Sometimes it helps me to get those questions thrown at me because then I'll just get the answer, which is helpful. So thank you. So we're probably gonna do the elements today because that's what we're prepared for. But hey, Spence, hope you're doing well. Just general with details, probably a good idea. Okay, so they are not yelling, but they are, what's the best way to say it? Emphatically recommending, requesting, I don't know, telling me to do the collective reading now. So let's jump into this. And of course, the collective reading for anyone new is meant to be just for anyone who's showing up, essentially. Thanks, Jesse. What was I going to say? Yeah, so the collective is meant to be just for anyone who sees this whenever they do. So if you're here live, if you just scroll into it randomly and hear one line and scroll away, whatever it's supposed to be for you, however much you catch, or if you're watching on YouTube later. So just meant to be for whoever sees it and be timeless in that way. So we're just going to roll into the channel messages coming through for you and just flow with those. I don't have anything prepared, like channel ahead of time for it. I've just been flowing with the readings and seeing what channels through. So I've been liking that, and we'll see what I do in the future. But let's just see what would be for that to come through for you now. The first thing they're showing me for this reading is a bulldozer. I feel like this message has been coming through here and there with these lives and the collectives even, but like there's just a lot getting destroyed. And it might feel disheartening for some of you as well, because maybe you've worked really hard and then it's like building a sandcastle metaphorically, and then your sandcastle gets destroyed and you're like, I put so much effort into this and like time, or like I was about to get rewards for this or things like that. There's just something better, honestly. So again, anything getting destroyed in your life, anything going south, anything that's feeling it's getting ripped away, in a way that you didn't want, like it's okay, is what I'm hearing. Things are really going to be restored and made better. And that's kind of the main theme, one of the main themes for this crowd, at least right now, is that destruction leading to better, which if you're able to go with the flow, it might not be that bad. I know sometimes people can have panic or freakouts or just worrying about safety or anything like that, but what I'm getting is you'll be okay, is what I'm hearing and getting, so not to worry there. Next thing they're showing me is like this steam engine and like train tracks. I get that things are on track. Like you might not feel that way. You might feel like, some of you might feel like everything's tanking or certain things are falling apart, or maybe things are great for you, some of you, but you don't know where you're going or something like that. I'm getting you're on the right track, and sometimes being on the right track, sometimes, by the way, not all the time, but sometimes being on the right track looks like destruction and like leaving things behind, and even bittersweet endings or things you didn't want to see because of where it's heading. For some reason, there's a sports team analogy dropping in as well to kind of explain this message and go a bit deeper potentially, or clarify it a bit more, where sometimes you have to make these like sacrifice plays in certain sports where maybe you like lose out in the short term in some way, but you gain in the long term. Or it's like a positioning game to get yourself in a position to score or do better than the other team by the end of the game. And metaphorically, you might feel like you're kind of in that like phase, even if you feel like it was forced upon you and it wasn't like you made this decision yourself, where there might be like some setbacks or some changes and you're like, I didn't want this to go this way this round, you know. Again, it's positioning you for a win in the end is what I'm hearing and getting for you. So let's try to stick with it and realize that things are on the right track regardless of appearances. And this isn't to freak you out in the opposite direction either, but you'd probably rather that things are on the right track and they look a little bit like something you're wary of. I don't feel like I'm saying this totally right, but okay, let me see what would be as much for me to say here, because they're kind of redirecting what I'm saying. It's better that things are on track than than like things being seeming like they're okay, but they're actually not, if that makes sense. So it's better you're on the right track and maybe there's destruction or some things happening than you're not on the right track, but everything seems okay. And then you're just heading in the wrong direction, if that makes sense. Not to freak out anyone when they feel like things are going okay, because entirely possible that things are going great and it seems like they're going great. So don't worry too much, but you understand what I'm saying. So next here, there's a bit more with this like trainer steam engine they're kind of showing me. I feel like this has been a common message around this time period, but they don't always like it when I preface messages like that. So I'm going to let go of that and just say what they'd like to be said here. For the highest good. They're just saying like there are upgrades to you, because it's like the steam engine, but then all of a sudden this like high-tech equipment is being installed, and instead of like a steam engine, it's like this alien rocket ship that's like never before seen, and it can like transcend dimensions and weird stuff like that. So it could also be that you're upgrading and that's part of why things seem to be going wrong or not working out. It's just like there's just something better for the upgraded you. Kind of a common message for the readings I've been doing recently in the channel, it seems recently, but or maybe not, I don't know, but you understand what I'm saying with that, where you're kind of also upgrading, and that's part of why things are changing. Next, they're showing me lightning. They're also showing me Thor, the deity, Thor as well. And what Thor is telling me in this visual I'm getting with the lightning is like change has to happen. So it's weird because the words I'm hearing are you might want things to stay the same, but you shouldn't, if that makes sense. And let me explain. Because sometimes we get comfortable, even if things aren't the best, and we're like, I guess I can stay in this, even if I don't really want to. But the universe is like, no, you deserve better. You shouldn't. Well, let's see. What's the best way to say this? You shouldn't necessarily want things to stay the same, especially when things need to change. And like you realize that, and like maybe you're kind of, like an ostrich buries its head in the sand. You're kind of like hiding from that a little bit, but they're kind of saying like, don't, like just accept the change and like realize it's leading to better. So I feel like I'm really hitting that point a lot with these different messages so far. So it could just be, again, like a big theme going on for like 90% of you. And for the other 10%, I feel like change is coming, but maybe you don't want it, but it'll be better. So even if it's not like as brutal or bad or whatever. So the other thing with all that here is like the lightning is what they're showing me. The lightning is talking about is sudden changes. So there could be sudden redirection, sudden like like when you're driving a car, they're showing it on horseback for some reason, where someone like jerks the reins and the horse is like, yeah, with that, horses say that. That's a joke. I'm joking terribly about horses, but I just like woof, like there's that sudden like jerk, or like when you're driving and the car's like you have to like woof, like there's that sudden like woof, and all the passengers like ah, um, or whatever. Like there might be a lot of sudden, maybe not literally like that, but redirections metaphorically, where there's certain like jerks at the wheel, or there's like hairpin turns on the path, or things are just very explosive in their change and you didn't see it coming. So just be a little bit open to unexpected change, unexpected developments, trust where it's heading. Like you're going to be okay again, but it's really about instant change. And I almost kind of want to say maybe you'll have like realizations that are really instant and you'll be like, oh, I need to change things. Or it could just be things that are external that like force your situation to change and you don't really have control over it, or anywhere in the middle, but you understand, somewhere in the middle. Next thing they're showing me is a house. I guess there is a Remax balloon showing up with this as well. I know what it usually means when that shows up, but I want to hear what they'd like to say for this reading before I just assume. So give me 1 second. So what's up with the house here? So some of you, this isn't going to be all of you, but some of you are being like forced to move. I feel like that's going to work out well. Others of you, if you're like looking to make a change, like even like a change in the home, whether that's moving or something else, and like that's like not happening, like trust the timing of that is something I'm hearing. They're reminding me of a story or an experience I had where I really wanted to move and not live in the state I was living in like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, because I really, and maybe it is still temporary in a sense, but I really thought that the situation I was in was like, okay, I'll be here for a year, then I'm out of this state and out of this place. And I didn't say in that exact same like apartment or situation, but I've been in the state ever since and it's been multiple years. Because like sometimes the plan is just that it's just not time yet for certain moves to occur. So if you're someone who's like trying to force a change and it's not happening, like I would kind of sit back, take a deep breath and like, okay, what is this thing that's not changing for me doing for me? Or like, what is this leading to? Because the example I'm hearing is like, you could have like the love of your life coming in. And like, if you moved, and this is not to freak anyone out, but if you moved, you like missed it as an example, or like this really cool job opportunity. And if you like moved, you'd kind of like miss out on this opportunity. So sometimes when things are staying the same, even when you want change, because you might have something changing like with this reading, like way over here, and you're like, I didn't want this to change, but then this is staying the same. You're like, I wanted this to change. It's like, sometimes we just don't have control over it, but we just need to trust that like these two things are still working out the way they're supposed to, if that makes sense. Next thing, is there more of the home and the Remax balloon here? Next thing they're moving on to is a tree. It looks like an oak tree. Oak trees to me typically symbolize strength and like sturdiness. I believe oaks typically have like a hard wood, but and that's not a euphemism, by the way. If I'm wrong about that, then you can correct me in the comments and drop your plant knowledge. School me in the plants. But anyways, with the oak tree here, let me see what the message is here. This oak tree is also like a home to like animals, like squirrels or owls or birds. Like, it's not just the tree that's affected if the tree is like cut down or changed in some capacity. So you might think certain changes are just about you, but it's actually something that's like has to do with the whole world, or like an energy sweeping through the whole world. So also try not to personalize too much of what's happening if you're forced, again, like we have all these examples of like change and destruction, like forced to move, forced to make a change, etc. Because it's like not just you that's being impacted or influenced like through this change, it's like everything. And when everything needs to change, like you're gonna have to change too, or go through changes too. So that's just one thing to look out for as well. Even if you like looked out the window and like, oh, none of this change sweeping across the land is going to impact me, it's like, psych, yes it is, so just keep that in mind. But there's also something about the home with the oak tree to go further into that, so let me stay with it just a second longer and see what the message is for you. So the positive message with this as well is like there is stability coming in. Like they're talking about the oak tree's like root system and like it's sturdy, it's stable. Like some of you might have felt like, again, you've been in these like half stable situations where things just like fall apart or like crumble. You are being led to stability in some area where you've lacked it. It could very well have to do with like a living situation or home situation for many of you as well, because that's really being highlighted for me as well. It could be any area though, honestly, because there's a, you know, not all of you are in the exact same situation, because that would be a strange reading. uh, but anyways, I was going to make a joke about saying how you were all going to be dating Steve tomorrow, but you're not all the same person, and not all of you are into Steve. And that's a complete joke. So anyways, I feel like my joking is not hitting like it normally does with these lives, but that's okay. Let's move on. Next thing they're showing me, this could be like the last message as well, as a heads up, though sometimes they sneak like 20 messages in when I'm like, okay, time to wrap it up. But they're showing me like a lamp post, and it's kind of like old-fashioned England is the one that this visual, like gaslit, like lamps in the streets is kind of what they're showing as the intuitive visual here. It is a message about things being lit up, so if you've been in the dark recently, like unable to like make a direction, choose a direction, unable to see where you're going, I feel like they're showing angels like lighting these lamps for the streets. So you have like some semblance of where you're going, or like someone lights the lamp, you can see the street signs, you're like, oh, I'm right here, I know where I am, I kind of know where I am, I know I need to go left here and do this thing. So I feel like the next steps for you are being lit up where previously they may have been hidden before. So whether you want to see that, they're showing me like glow in the dark steps as well, if that resonates as a synchronicity in some way. But one second here. Yeah, so next steps being lit up. You're gonna know what to do next. Like things are going to be made clear, so don't worry if you've been in the dark or anything like that or confused. And if you feel like people are confusing you, like especially in your immediate circumstances like family or friends, romantic situations, and you feel like they're saying things that are confusing you, or you feel like they're misdirecting you in some way, weird message, but some of them might be just as confused as you are. So maybe take a second to like hold off on like taking their word over your own in certain, you know, situations or like direction in your world. It might be a good time to sit with yourself and get clear on that, instead of listening to everyone else. I feel like it's almost always a good time to do that, unless you're deeply in a state where you're super traumatized and super turned around and you have no clue what's up and down, and like you just need someone to lean on or talk to. I feel like that's different than you're pretty good and clear in the head and intuitive, but you keep feeling you're getting misdirected. So listen to yourself right now is what I'd say. Like you're going to know the way to go. If you feel like you're in a situation with people who are just as in the dark as you are, like do your best not to listen to them over your own guidance, if that makes sense, unless you really feel called to, or you're being guided to listen. Does that make sense? So I suppose like there's like one more they're slipping in with like a giraffe here. Giraffe spirit animal used to show up for these readings all the time, like some type of best bud or something like that, or it's like just a needed energy, honestly, like in the collective is something I'm hearing right now. There's also like dolphins, there's like a Dalmatian, like a spotted creatures, like a spotted dog who's showing up in like a fire hat, which is very cliche, but whatever. I'm not here to stereotype dogs, but anyways, with like the giraffe showing up here, giraffes have like a far reach with their neck to like get to leaves and stuff, and the message is like you have a further reach than you realize. As far as what this is about here, let me see if there's specifics on like what that even means for you guys, even if they need to split it up into like it means something different for different groups of you listening to this. Beep boop, what's the message? I promise I'm not an AI, even though I beep booped. Anyways, let me see what's up with this giraffe here. I feel like, okay, here's one message. This giraffe has further reach to like change things than it realizes. Like it might feel stuck in like this gated area, but it can like reach over the fence and like unlatch it and walk through and be free. Or it might feel like it's lacking something, but maybe it wants food, but it just needs to reach up to the tree and grab it, but it's like not doing it because it's like almost like given up or like resigned in some way, where it doesn't think it can do it. So try not to give up like that. Like weird message, but I would be trying to give things like one more chance if you're like about to give up like on life or something about, or like on a job situation or on a family situation, or unless you are just thoroughly no, I need to walk away from this. So for example, to try and bring through clarification for you on that, I feel like you guys get it actually, like 99% of you. So like if you're just about to give up on your business and you have like one more thing to try, it's like don't walk away from that one more thing. Like give it a shot. Like try that post or that new product or whatever. Just give it one more try and see what you're called to do from there, because it's like that might be the thing that like unlatches the gate and then you can walk through or something. I'm so sorry. There's like a lot more messages coming through, but Ace of Pentacles, the tarot card, is showing up in my intuitive visuals as well, which is like an offer, especially like a job offer is what I'm hearing, or something to do with your work. You might be getting a new offer somewhere. I would definitely take the offers that feel really good to you right now. I feel like it's part of the change. I don't feel like the words I just heard were very strange. It was like something along the lines of like not turning away opportunities that feel good to you for any reason. So like don't talk yourself out of a good situation. Don't talk yourself out of like a lot of money. Don't talk yourself out of something successful. Like that would kind of be dumb is what I'm hearing. So I don't even know if you need me to say that, but if you get like a good offer that feels right and good to you intuitively in the near future, like I'd really highly consider taking it and like moving that direction, because that could be like your new world opening up for you that you've been missing. Or if you were like wondering when certain changes were going to come in, it could be like that opening up for you. So make sure to pay attention to the opportunities coming your way, the offers. It's like really important that you see it, take it if it's right. Don't sit on it like too long. If you can help it, like it's going to help change your world. So keep that in mind. They're done with that reading they're showing me. So I think the last thing that they would have is like a tropical tree. It's about like vacation. If you feel like you need a vacation, you can take one. Maybe consider taking one. If not, like at least consider taking one like next year, like early on or something. Like some of you just need rest, and that would help you with everything, even if you don't think so, and you think you have like 20 projects lined up or something like that. Like sometimes rest will bring the clarity on your 20 different directions to choose from. Maybe not always. Like if you're resting for like 3 months and like you're like, I don't know, maybe it's time to get back to the grind, but or not the grind, but you understand. I don't feel like I said that right. So anything else before we close it out here? Just make sure you're taking rest that's adequate, taking breaks from things as you need to. That's the message you need. I'm hearing at least some of you. So hope that was helpful and resonated. Do whatever was for your highest good. Sometimes tropical trees, like palm trees, can also, what I've read, is symbolize resilience. So stay resilient is what I'd say. And a lot can happen for you if you do that, even like regarding, yeah. So I guess we'll leave it there. And I'm sorry, it keeps flowing, but with banana showing up here, if you are slipping up, you're not actually slipping up, you just think you are. And I feel like the universe will catch you regarding certain mistakes within reason. So I wouldn't go out there and intentionally try and slip up, but you understand. Okay, so hope that helped, resonated, was for your highest good. We're going to move on in a second here. Hey, Sean, good to see you as well. And I'm so glad to hear it resonated. You are welcome. Banana hits. There we go. See, I always like, I don't think I get annoyed. I think, but when these last second messages pop in, I feel like they're always like, usually, not that the other ones didn't hit or don't hit, but they always seem to resonate or be important or something. So if I ever get caught between closing a reading and talking about 20 different messages, I'm just gonna flow with it from now on. Oh, thank you so much, Angela. Maybe I'll just roll with this look from now on. Housing one feels too real to me right now. We got on the HOA radar after like 10 years. HOA. I've never had to deal with HOA personally, but I just also never would like to have to deal with HOA personally either, based on what I've read or things, depending. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Ooh. Thank you, Michelle. Well, I really appreciate it, guys. Okay, so I was thinking about starting fire, but they're like, no, don't start the fire signs yet. Hang out with chat for a little bit. So I'll hang out with you guys for a second. Oh, thank you so much, Tash. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it. Hey, Kat. I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Good to see you too. And I appreciate you asking. So I know we didn't hang out that long, but little meows. Yeah, the kitties, they meow. They desire things, and they get very meowy sometimes. But we successfully trained one out of being too bad, but there's another one that is very, very squeaky, and he desires wet food. So that's oh, kitty paw. Thank you, Lucky. That was funny. Panther paws. Okay, cool. You know what? The panther is funny too, because I was just in Florida, and apparently Florida actually has panthers and like jaguars in that state, which surprised me a little bit because I just wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I don't know. Florida just seems to have it's like Australia light, you know. It's like all the North American predators, like the bears and the wolves and alligators and snakes and I guess panthers and jaguars all just kind of gather and hang out, I guess. So I don't know. I guess they like to retire in Florida too. Not meant to be a jab at anyone who's retired, by the way. So we're doing the same 4 as usual, Leo. I was sitting with maybe doing the 12, but we'll sit with, I don't think I'm incorporating it this live. It'd be a bit last second, which would be okay too, but maybe in like one of the next ones I'll try it. I pulled Panther and channeled about perceptions of Australia this morning. I knew it would be synchronistic for someone. The anaconda and boa have got out of control down there. Oh no, I haven't encountered those while I was there, but I wouldn't doubt it either. I was gonna make a Shrek joke because they're also like the swampland in Florida, and Shrek's all like, "Get out me swamp," but I don't know. I didn't get the full joke in time to like get it out in a timely manner, so I just mentioned Shrek instead, casually starting conversations with Shrek. Anyways, I'm gonna give it one more second before we start here. I did not go to Disney World. I actually ended up going to Universal Studios at one point in there. I and just saw family, honestly, so some extended family. Thank you for doing these. We know you're a funny fella. Thanks, the Authentic Mystic. Okay, so let's start with the fire signs, sun, moon, or rising. So if you have a fire sign somewhere in your chart there, this is meant to be for you when you see it, and just channeling through messages that will be helpful for you and resonant for you. So I'm going to just flow with what my spirit guides, the angels, and source are bringing through. And my intention, of course, is that this is resonant, helpful, does whatever is for the highest good for you. Healing, if it's for the highest good for it to be healing, etc. So may it be so, and let's dive in. Give me 1 second here. So funny enough, we just talked about like jaguars and panthers and all that. And like the first thing that I was getting a visual of was a jaguar, like jaguar spirit animal. And let me see what's up with all this before we dive into before I open my mouth here. So the message that I'm first hearing for you guys, this jaguar is kind of looking at me, and then he's walking away from something. And what the jaguar is saying to me is like, there's a lot of walking away energy. And you could say it's spirit through the jaguar, like source through the jaguar, as a way to, if anyone's like, what does that mean that the jaguar is talking to you? But anyways, bear with me for a second here. I feel like if you're walking away from something, like that's actually a good move. If you're not walking away from anything and you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, keep in mind that if you're forced to walk away from anything in the near future, in the next month or so, or in the recent history or past here, I feel like that's a good move too, even if it sucks to be like forced to walk away from something, or like someone walks away from you, whether it's friendship, anything like that. I do feel like it's going to lead to the best. And sometimes we hesitate on like walking away from something because you're just like, what about this thing that I already have? Or like, what am I losing if I walk away from this? Or like, what if this is the best I can get? Like all those thoughts can come up and things. But the other message is like, you've grown, you've improved as a person. You might even have new skills. You have new capabilities to take on the world, and you deserve better. So if you're forced to walk away from something, or you are walking away from something, it's leading you to the best, which is hopefully a helpful message for you right now. Because Lord knows when you're walking away from something, it can be rather nerve-wracking, no matter the area of life that pertains to. They're also showing me like an image of the Eight of Cups tarot card, which is a card of walking away from something. The story they're reminding me of, which isn't really a story, but what they're reminding me of is how when you walk away, as in the Eight of Cups, the next card in line in the tarot is in that suite is the Nine of Cups, which is wish fulfillment. And then you have the Ten of Cups, which is, happiness, fulfillment, joy. I've heard people say happy home, happy life before about that card. And I'm kind of being guided to repeat that as well. So again, kind of like the collective reading said, you are headed to something better if you're walking away from something. And there's like a third group of you, and like you might not feel like you're walking away from anything at all. Just pay attention to what's walking away from you. That'll allow something better to come in, is the message I'm getting. So the next thing that this jaguar is showing me, he's on the hunt. There's also all these like butterflies around him, and we're in this jungle setting right now. Like there's palm trees. We're kind of in a nondescript location though. So let me see what's up with this message here. Give me 1 second. Weird message, but if you feel like you need to hunt for like new opportunities or go on the hunt for like new things in your life, they're just saying like, just go on the hunt, like you'll be fine. Again, it can be nerve-wracking when you're out like seeking something, whether it's like a job, new friends, new romantic partners, even if you're just on like Bumble or, whatever people use nowadays. Like just go on the hunt. Sometimes that's like how you find things. Sometimes you can just sit back and attract things and let things show up. So trust your intuition on all of it. But I feel like in some ways, like going on a hunt is almost a good idea regarding whatever you're seeking. So maybe put extra effort into bringing something in that you need or you'd like to have. Like it's almost like the hunt is on, if that makes sense. And in this situation, like you're depicted as a jaguar, or jaguar spirit animal is helping you in some way. So you have the skills you need. You have the instincts and the hunting prowess. You just need to kind of do it, if that makes sense. So try not to just stay at home and wonder when something's going to come in. Like put some action into going on the hunt for what you desire, or, if you have to walk away from something, get something new, go on the hunt for it, whatever it is, hopefully you understand. Next thing they're showing me is a rhino. This rhino in this visual that's showing up instantly is like kind of like doing that thing where rhinos, before they charge, or maybe it's stereotypically depicted where they kind of like rub their feet across the ground or scrape their feet across the grounds, almost as like a warning in some way. So let me see what this rhino is about here. So if you are stalling, charging ahead in some area of your life that you know you need to go down or take action on, like I'd really stop stalling and just like charge. Because like in this scenario, it's almost a little bit flipped. Like there's a rhino, he's trying to like scare away like some type of predator. I'm not saying that's literally what you're going through, but hopefully it'll just click for your situation for you. But he could like sit here and like almost charge all day, and like this whatever he's worried about, whether it's a big cat or whatever, might not go away until it actually charges. So you might be like worried about something and like you need to take action, you need to take actions like that. Like as much as you might like warn it or stall or whatever, that thing might not go away unless you actually like charge toward it. So again, stop stalling on like charging towards something you need to charge towards when you know you need to do it. Just get it out of the way is what I'd say, whatever that is for you, whether it's something you need to handle or again, if you need to be proactive on going on the hunt for something, like new place to live, whatever it is, like just take action. Even if it's like a manifestation and you're just like stalling on like a business you'd like to start or something like that. I know at the time of this live, it's close to Mercury retrograde. I think that starts in like 4 days, or maybe I'm just didn't look it up enough recently and it already started. But what I'm hearing for you is like sometimes that doesn't matter if you've needed to do something for a while, or if you have change forced upon you during Mercury retrograde, like that's going to be okay. It's not a death sentence. It's not like, oh, nothing's ever going to work out for you. It's just either maybe that situation needs to be temporary on some level that you're being forced into, or it's going to be fine regardless and you don't need to worry. There have definitely been times where like I was forced into major changes or things like around Mercury in retrograde and it's worked out totally fine. Like I haven't had any real issues with them. So, or like even like major changes, it's, so I just feel like it's okay if you have to do that. And I might be committing some type of astrology heresy, but I'm also just going with the channel messages I get before the, mainstream interpretation of an event, if that makes sense. And my personal stance that I've kind of gotten or channeled as well, so I don't know if it's really personal, but is that we're not necessarily limited by astrology. I think it can be good to pay attention to if you know what you're doing and you're very intuitive about it and getting the messages and like, or intuition, like what this is going to be like or what's happening with this. But I've heard other people say a similar sentence, and I have a similar sentiment where it's like treating it like prison or like a death sentence is like probably not the best way to go about it if it's limiting you or your life or you know what I mean. So if you notice, I guess I've said what I need to say on that. So unless they have something else to say, I'm going to move on to the next message here. Just do your best with all that. You'll be fine is what I'm getting. And if there's like a lesson you need to learn about Mercury in retrograde, you'll learn it, but don't worry too much if you're being forced in a direction by the universe, or that's just like the only way, or that's what you're intuitively getting to do. So next, they're showing me a tree for you. A tree showed up for the collective message as well. Let me sit with this tree here. It's actually the same tree. It's an oak tree, but it's a different because tree is like changing seasons into the autumn season. So this tree is going through changes. Specifically for you, this might mean internal changes. And this is a weird message, but like, I don't know if this will apply to everybody, but sometimes when we go through big changes or even internal shifts, it's almost like what I'm hearing is it can feel like you're dying, but you're not in this instance. Like, it's just like the leaves are turning color. It's losing the leaves to be rebirthed like the next year. So it's actually growing. It's going through a necessary cycle, if that makes sense. So you might be going through changes where you're like, wow, I'm not me anymore. Or wow, I'm really changing. Or I don't know if I can handle this change. Or that's like another set of words I'm hearing for you regarding like some changes that might be happening, even if they're just internal. But I feel like you're going to be fine. I feel like it's necessary. It's like exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So I'd be embracing the change, not like poo-pooing it, not like pushing it away, not trying to remain the same person, especially in a negative sense, of course. what I'm hearing is you would rather you change, at least if you knew like the truth of the situation and all that, even if mentally you don't necessarily on the surface, if that makes sense. But there are internal changes coming in hot is what they're saying. So you might feel like a new person, like even in a month or like two, or in the next few months, where big changes happen within, like a lot of realizations, a lot of healing, a lot of new directions for you is something I'm hearing as well. And it's just kind of part of the season change metaphorically, for you and your life, kind of like a turning of an age in a sense, in some way, where it's supposed to be different. Like it's not supposed to be like the last age. Like you're probably not the same as you were when you were 5, but that's also a good thing, typically, unless you're bringing your Thomas the Train, like toys to work in your briefcase and setting it up on your desk, and which sounds kind of fun, I guess, depending on the situations, depending on who you are, but that could like get you fired. So I don't know, you understand. Let's move on to the next message here. Speaking of, though, there is like inner child healing is like part of this change. So if more of you is integrated that way, that's a positive, good thing is what I'm hearing to say, as well. So I feel like these changes are actually also healing you. So there's some type of turning of the seasons for you where you're changing, and I do feel like it's leading to positive things, but it might feel, I don't know why I keep hearing the words like it might feel like you're dying, or it might feel like the old you is dying, or it might just feel like you're a completely different person. But again, that's okay. So next here, there's a visual of someone like dyeing their hair like purple specifically, which is probably not going to be all of you. But it could be a sign for you as well. But anyways, what's up with this visual of the person dyeing their hair purple here? It is still about change and like rapid transition. Like, how when people go through breakups, they like cut off certain, especially more like female oriented people. And I could definitely see it happening to they, them, I don't know. I'm not trying to stereotype, but my understanding is a lot of like girls or people will go through like big like appearance changes after like a breakup or something like that. And I'm just using girls as an example because that's the one I'm most familiar seeing that happen with. And I'm not trying to exclude anyone from that. But anyways, what we're getting to with that is you might even be at like a place where you feel called to do something similar is kind of what I'm hearing, like change your hair, change your appearance after some sort of drastic change. Just do what you feel called to do, I guess. I don't know if that's like even important to mention. Is there anything deeper that would be good to come through with that for you guys here? Or it could just be something external you're changing as well. But I feel like that's like almost the kind of change that's happening. I don't feel like it has to be heartbreaking or like drastic or like terrible, or like I must dye my hair purple and listen to emo music in my parents' closet, and your parents like, you're 40 years old, what are you doing here? But anyways, let's get back to what would be good to come through next here. They're showing me a boombox. Do you guys, okay, this could spark a whole other conversation, but they're showing me that scene from that, sorry, excuse the eye like thing, I just can't remember what movie it is, and y'all are gonna be like, I know that movie, but it's the one with the dude in the boombox and he's holding out the window and he's like, I'm sorry and stuff. And like, I don't know, there's a whole, never mind. Let me go where they'd like to go first, and then I can go on my spiel if they'd like me to. But what's the message with the boombox, please, for the highest good? Okay, if someone comes in and they're trying to like beg your forgiveness or like weasel their way into your life or get back into your life anytime in the next like period here, I wouldn't accept them back unless you really know that they've changed, is another message I'm getting, for the better, or it's the right move. Like if there's any questioning about it at all, or the universe throws any red flags at you, I'd potentially hold off or just ignore it, if that makes sense. Because like not everyone deserves to come back into your life if they really messed up, or I'm hearing the words awful people, which I hesitate to throw judgments around or things that sound like judgments around, but if it's what I'm hearing, it's what I'm hearing. So I'm just gonna trust that. And yeah, I guess that's the message. I guess if I were to get into my personal spiel about that movie, I used to have this whole thing, or I'd talk to people about it, or I'd be like, it was really interesting how sometimes there'd be movies, and it would seem like certain people would be like, oh, it's so romantic, but if it happened to them in real life, they'd be like really creeped out, be like, dude, go away. Like so I don't know, that was going to be my spiel about it, but let's move on here. So banana showed up in the collective reading, showing up for you guys as well, the fire signs here, but this banana is being peeled. I feel like this banana actually wants to be peeled, so let me see what the message is with this one here. I feel like you're shedding layers of you, but it's like a relief, like you're healing, you're releasing something. You might even be like releasing people from your world or like situations. It's actually releasing a lot of toxicity. So if life is peeling things away, or you feel like you're being peeled in some way, a lot of the times when the banana peel message shows up, it's like it being exposed in some way, because that banana is being exposed to the air. So I don't feel like it's necessarily the case in this one. It's more just like shedding layers that don't belong so the true you can shine and like you can be happy again, or like happier, or more in joy. And that's like why certain layers are leaving. So you might even be losing things that you identify with. And again, I feel like I've been like on this topic a lot the past okay, I'll shut up about that, universe. But like a job situation, like sometimes people really identify with their jobs, or like relationships, they identify with their relationships, or even like homes. It's like I do this job, I date this person, I live in this home, and it's about this level. Like there's all these like, I'm not saying all of you identify with it, but sometimes people identify with it. Like if you're losing things like that are like almost like an identity in some way, it's the right move. So again, the peeling away is good. And then this banana gets what is for it. So you get what's for you or more, or closer to that, or what's right for the next time period with these things that no longer serve happen. So the last message I'm getting for you is like a canary and I'm like looking out the window and it's showing up in my intuitive visuals. They want me to tell you this for some reason. Sometimes the way I'll get messages is like, it's not a hallucination. It's just like the intuitive visuals like overlaid on my physical sight. And then I'll usually get a channeled message along with it, or a clear cognizant message along with it. But there's a canary, and like the last message is canary. So I'm like, okay, so what's up with this canary? Let me just ask them to talk about it here for a second before I open my mouth here. What's the message on canary, please? I mean, if you're getting like warning signs from the universe, like as synchronicities or signs, like just heed them. I don't feel like you have too much to worry about regarding all that, especially as long as you're listening. But you might be getting certain warning signs and you just need to listen if that's showing up for you. Whatever warning signs are for you, whatever you have honed in with the universe on what that is like for me, for example, like if I'm thinking of doing something or like going in a certain direction or whatever, sorry for the pause. Like one thing that I've kind of honed in is like they'll like my spirit guides, angels, source will like point my eyes at things that are like signs or like to communicate with me, for example. Or to really point my eyes to synchronicities so I see it. And one of the things they'll do is like if I'm thinking like, oh, I think I'm gonna do this today, and it's like that's a bad idea, they'll like point my eyes to like a sign that has warning on it. They'll be like, warning. Or I'll be thinking of like, oh, I'm gonna go in this direction. I'll be like warning, or like caution, or like things like that. So that's me. That's one of the things I have honed in. Or there's other things like they don't want me to talk too much on it, so I'll let you go with what works for you on that. But that's an example of like heeding a warning sign, because I might be like, I'm going to go work at, I don't know, a bank. And they're like, caution, heads up. And like usually like also at the place I'm at now, they'll also be like, no. I'll be like, don't do it. Or, like, or they'll be like, they'll yell warning at me or something. So there's a lot of different ways you can get those messages depending on where you're at, what you've honed in with the universe, how you operate. But I don't need to keep blabbing away on it. You understand. The last thing they're showing me actually, so they showed Canary is like cushy landing. So if you have major change, there's going to be like a cushion landing. Because sometimes it seems like spirit wants us to leap off of a cliff and we're going to land at like a rock bottom, or it seems like there's spikes in a pit waiting for us. But then like once we go through the change, like we land on like a pile of mattresses or a pile of feathers or a snowbank or something that's cushions our fall, and like we're totally fine, if that makes sense. Or there's nothing quite so severe as it seemed. So I kind of feel like the message is, I'm gonna see if there's something else they want to add, like an addendum they want to make. But if you have major changes coming, there are going to be cushioned landings for you, not like rock bottom, not like falling into a pit of spikes or snakes or something devilish like that. A weird choice of words by them, but you understand. So I feel like the changes are going to lead to good things. They're not going to like hit as hard in a negative or maybe even painful way as you think, or something like that. So okay, I think we're done. There is a dragon showing up like Eastern style before we close the reading. You are divinely protected. You are on the right track. Things are going to work out for the better. So trust, hang in there, be resilient, have fortitude. There's a lot on your path that's transpiring. It's almost that cliche, but for you, not just like to you. So hang in there right now, even if there are challenges or changes. It's like, it's for the better. So that's it. Hope that resonated, helped, did whatever was for your highest good. And if there's like fiery change right now, even if it's like not like violent, like people are punching each other people, but like violent change, like it's very abrupt, or I don't know about disturbing, but you know, like a roller coaster would shake violently or something like that, or whip violently around a turn. I feel like that actually is a sign that you have like way better things ahead. Maybe not always, but in this circumstance it is. So if things are like violently like woof, like just changing like that, there's way better ahead is what I'd say. And like you need a violent change to get you to that. Okay, so I hope that helped, resonated, do whatever is for us good. We're going to close that there. And we're going to move to the earth signs in a bit after we hang out and chat. I'll hang out with chat for a second. You're welcome, Annie M. Glad to hear it. Boop. Ooh. Looking good, Brandon. Nice haircut. Thank you, Life of Lily. I appreciate it. Thank you. Definitely resonated. Perfect, Amy. Thanks for letting me know. You are welcome. These messages are so great. I love how I get inspired when you channel. Oh, that's awesome. You're so welcome, and I'm super glad to hear. That's awesome feedback. I'm glad it's inspiring. Hi, Kay. Hi, Chrissy. Hope you're doing great. Resonated with what I've been channeling, yet to see the fall away, though. I'm sure it will occur. Resonated and needed. Thank you. You're welcome. Really looking forward to these readings. Oh, thanks, Annie. Trying to be a brave, exposed banana. Thanks. You're welcome. You're welcome, Lizette. Aren't we all? Sorry, they didn't like that joke as much, but yeah, it should be. Jessica said, glad it sounds like it's gentle. It should be. Resonated. Thanks. You're welcome, Shaylin. Super glad to hear it. Okay, so I guess we're going to start the earth signs now. They just said start earth, so I guess we're doing that. And then I'll answer this really quickly. Life of Lily asked, what was my fave at Universal? So we didn't do everything. We mostly went on the Harry Potter rides and all that. That was what my girlfriend wanted to do. And I wasn't super like attached to what we did there. So I really enjoyed the Hagrid motorcycle roller coaster thing the most out of what we did, I think. That one was fun. Yeah, that was probably my favorite part. Oh, thank you. Excuse me. Okay, They would like me to start the earth signs, so I will oblige. I will oblige the universe, I suppose. So this is for the earth signs, sun, moon, and rising. I just realized I did the thing. Um, Sorry, we got this. Yay, unmirrored. So, yep, flip the camera. Okay, so if you have an earth sign, sun, moon, or rising, this is for you when you see it. I'm just going to flow with the channel messages coming through for you with this reading. If they guide me to pick up a card deck and pull cards, I will, but I don't have one on the desk with me, so we'll see what ends up happening. Hopefully I won't need them, but and I usually don't, but let's see what the first message is for you. So, okay, there's all this like change. Okay, didn't want me to start there. First thing they're showing me is an earthquake. There's like volcanoes going in the distance. They're showing me dinosaurs. They're showing me the word extinction. They're also showing me like fossils, like the, I forget what it's called. Like, it's not amolite, is it? But like there's the spiral shells and there's like fossils and they sell them at crystal shops usually and things like that. So what's up with all this happening on here? I feel like this just seems like a theme right now as it was in the collective reading, but the words I get are just great change and it's like upon you. And I hesitate to say this because I don't feel like it has to be negative or like horrifying or anything like that, but the words they're giving me are extinction level. So it's not about you dying. It's not about you being destroyed. It doesn't even have to necessarily be something you mourn, is something I'm getting as well. So I know extinction sounds terrifying, and I don't mean this literally on like a world level either at all. It's more for your personal world and what is transpiring there. So it's almost like, and I don't mean to scare you, because I know this sounds very scary probably as I'm saying it, and we'll get into the details to see like why this is happening and see if they have a way to clarify it more, but it's almost like every area of your life is just changing. Like there's a lot of upheaval. Again, doesn't have to be bad. Like you could get $1 million career, but that forces you to move. It forces you to leave friends behind. It forces you to quit your job. Like, you know, it could be very positive overall, but it's like causes the destruction of like everything else, but you get to rebuild back better than ever before because you've like up leveled, if that makes sense. And that's happening to you on some level. It's like extinction metaphorically, but it's happening as an up level in some way, or as a change that you need, or you've like learned everything you need to learn from life as the way it is for the most part, some of you. So this is taking you higher. Again, like I've been saying for everybody, like this is bringing in like better, but it's a lot of change. So some of you have been like asking or praying for this. Sometimes we just get into situations where we need everything to change or would like everything to change. Sometimes we're afraid of that change at the same time because maybe we're comfortable with where we're at, or, you know, you kind of understand, but I'm going to say it again, just know that it's leading to better. So there's a bit more with this before we move on to the next message here though. One, I would be like gentle on yourself. Here's another reminder to just kind of cleanse your energies, frequently or every day, twice a day, morning and night, or maybe even 3 times if you feel like you need it. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. I would be putting yourself first right now, like to the utmost, not to the point where you're being like narcissistic to everyone around you, but maybe it might feel like you are because you're not used to it, but it's actually what would be health. Not being a narcissist, but taking care of yourself, putting yourself first would be, in certain ways, would be healthy for you, if that makes sense. So I would definitely make sure, like, to whatever degree you can, and is healthy for your life and circumstances, be putting yourself first, making sure you're taken care of so you can take care of everything else and help others if that's what you do, yada, yada. I feel like that's going to lead to best results, and it's so tempting to put that on the back burner and put everyone and everything else first, because sometimes that's how we're taught to live, or that's in our wiring, or we think that's the best way. But again, that cliche, balance is key. Balance is key, and if you're not taking care of, how are you supposed to take care of everyone else? Like, you can't be like sick on your deathbed and then trying to save the world, and wishing you'd taken better care of yourself. Like, not that that's going to go to that level, by the way, that was an extreme example, but, again, you got to take care of yourself to take care of others. So keep that in mind, especially when like things are rocking your world or a lot is changing or you think you've messed up or not that you have or anything like that. Like it's tough, but if you're putting yourself first, like you're going to win is what I'd say. Not all of you are going through something devastating. You might just be seeing like one change. You don't realize like how that's going to sweep through your world over the next like even like year or so, a few months, year, 2 or 3 years even. It could be like a long-term thing that's happening, like where it's like this area changes, you're like, okay, cool. And this area changes, you're like, oh, okay. And then this thing changes and your friend moves away, you're like, okay. And then you move and then your job changes or you get a promotion and then it just kind of circles through or sweeps through. I don't know if you realize that change is happening, all of you, but it's like what needs to happen for your new life to birth and even like what you've been asking for to come in, for your dreams to come true or wish fulfillment, whatever it is that you would like to happen. So again, exactly what you need, but it might be a lot or it could be a lot is something I'm getting. So let's change gears a little bit. Jaguar, we joked about Jaguars. We didn't joke, but we talked about Jaguars in Florida, and then he showed up in the fire signs. He's showing up for the earth signs now. They're really pointing to the pads on the Jaguars' paws as well. I don't know if you like the Jaguars American football team either, some of you, but they're showing me the helmet from that. But let's get back to what they're talking about here. It's kind of like a message like where you need to be agile and like move with the changes that are happening or like be on your feet with the changes in some way and like flow with the changes. Because it can be so tempting to like see change happen and you're like, I don't wanna, and you just kind of sit there, but then like this, I'm not saying this has to happen if you're like this, but this tidal wave of like crap hits you where it's like if you just flowed with the changes, you'd be like in perfect alignment, like right where you need to be, etc. So try not to be like a metaphorical grumpy old dude who doesn't want change to occur and avoid, miss whatever you were supposed to miss. Miss something you weren't supposed to miss. You kind of understand what I'm saying. It's like if you like dig in your heels against change right now, I don't feel like it's gonna go well. If you flow with it, even if you're a little bit scared or you're like, I don't know what's happening or whatever, like it goes well overall or will end up going well in some way or leads to better. So yeah, so try not to be a grumpy old person, metaphorically or literally, but I know a lot of y'all who are older here are fantastic. So just when anyways, but let's move on here. There's going to be a castle next. There's a lot of magic going on here. So I feel like I've been on this topic a lot, but I'm getting the words like you're getting something better. So metaphorically, you might be used to like living in shacks and then like all this change comes and then you're like living in mansions or living in castles or there's all this like magic around you or life is finally the way you'd like it to be. So again, I feel like I'm harping on this over and over again, but don't be afraid of like the demolition that's happening or whatever. But there might be more with this castle here. Sometimes a life is built like brick by brick, stone by stone, piece by piece. Sometimes like we'll expect a manifestation to come in whole, but we kind of might have to build it with the universe, like with a project or a business or a lifestyle or whatever, over time to have what you desire. So you might desire to have a world-changingly amazing relationship with the best partner you could dream of. But there's things that have to happen. Like you still have to like meet this person and like build the relationship with each other and get to know each other and build the foundation of the relationship and see what that person is like and grow with this person, go through certain things in life together to get a feel for each other. Maybe not, but you understand what I'm saying, where it's like, it's not always like, oh yeah, here's the love of your life and you have the perfect love and you get along, maybe you get along perfectly right away, but and you're married tomorrow and it doesn't always work like that. So pay attention to how the universe is building with you on certain things like over time. And I almost like would like to say, don't just wait for like events to happen regarding your manifestations where you're like, okay, when is that $10 million business just going to fall out of the sky? Haha. Like, when am I just going to wake up one day and be married with 3 kids? Whatever it is. Again, pay attention to the stepping stones you're being given, the guidance you're being given moment to moment. See what the universe is like building for you, with you, guiding you to build, especially guiding you to build, and work with that, because like that's going to lead to a lot of success and a lot of happiness for you as well, is what I'd say. And I know it's so tempting to wait for the $10 million business to fall out of the sky, but I don't know, maybe there's a way it's possible for it to happen, and I'm not going to limit it, but that's not the message I'm getting for you right now regarding whatever this is speaking to you regarding here. So they've really been liking some of the similar symbolism across readings today. Like the tree is showing up here, but it's not an oak tree, it's a fir tree, which I believe is also an evergreen tree. And if I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. But let me see what's up with this tree and what the messages are, and that shouldn't matter. It should still be the right messages anyways. So what's up with this tree here? Birch tree might also be a tree that resonates for some of you as well, by the way, which can symbolize a lot of really cool things. Birch tree, like divine protection, new beginnings, resilience. Like there's a lot that a lot of really cool things with that tree. But anyways, what's up with fir tree here? I feel like things are coming in for you that are going to last. If you think of like an evergreen tree is always evergreen, it's, I guess, until it dies, but that's not what I'm trying to get to. So I feel like you're getting things that are metaphorically, maybe literally for some of you, but like evergreen, where it's like you get a business to start, but it lasts a long time. It's like successful for a long time. Or you get a relationship and it's like long lasting. Maybe for some of you that's finally, because I hear the word finally as well. Or like a dream comes true, but it's like actually what you'd exactly desired, and it's not like missing something, or you get it and then you like crumble because it's not what you really wanted, or some challenge came with it you didn't expect. It's like you might get like really cool things that last, like, or even like a house, so that's really cool, is like a result of all this change, or it could just be coming in now as well. So I love that for you. How does it get even better than that? They're showing me a bluebird next, as well as the sun tarot card. Bluebirds to me symbolize happiness, joy, like the sun. It's really interesting because I've never seen this card deck before, but someone posted, like, how like different like card readers will just like post an oracle card and like have a little message like on Instagram or something. Someone like posted a reading somewhere and it had this oracle card it was like tarot, but it was with birds. It was like burb tarot, and the sun card was the bluebird card. I'm like, what? Because that was like what I've been getting as like a symbol for that through other means, is how I hone that through with the universe, and it's just what they've been giving me as well. So I thought that was a fun synchronicity, but I guess I'm not alone on bluebirds and the sun and happiness and stuff. But I feel like that's what you're headed towards overall. And like, you really need to keep your sights like on that. Like, what will bring me, not just like short term, like, drugs or something, but like what will bring you joy that's like long lasting, or what will bring you fulfillment, or what will bring you that sun for a long time, and like moving towards the sun. Because sometimes there are a lot of short-term distractions where it's like, oh, I need to put out this, I got to handle this situation. I got to handle this situation. Got to handle this situation. And it's tempting to let that ebb over our long-term plans and like forget where we're going almost. Now is your time to focus on the sun, and I'm not telling you to stare at the sun physically, but metaphorically, focus on what the sun is to you, and like what action steps you need to bring that in, or what it would take to manifest it. And this is going to sound weird, but try to keep at least 50% of your action towards that, like manifesting the sun, even if it's mantras that bring it in, or action steps you can take, like keeping your plans in front of you about moving that direction. If this is making sense, where it's like, because sometimes people have a day job or something they don't want to do right now, but they would like to be a singer, for example. So how can you take a certain percentage or 50% of your efforts, or whatever works for you, and apply it towards that long-term dream, instead of getting swept up in all this stuff for like 20 years. And then you're like, what do? I wanted to be a singer, never really got around to it. I don't think there's anything wrong if that happens. It's just, now is the time to bring in the sun. in some ways the sun might even be here right now, and it's just like either you don't notice it yet, or it's not shining strongly enough for you to notice it, but it's like gaining strength and momentum, especially as you keep your focus on it and bringing it in. But just remember to put some of your efforts towards your long-term sun, towards your dreams, targets, towards things that matter to you long-term, and try not to get so swept up in daily life that you just forget. And I know it can seem easy to do. That's probably why this message is coming through, to help you at least keep some of your efforts moving towards that. I'm not saying, I don't know. Hopefully that's helpful as like just some direction and guidance on that right now as well. They're showing me a banana tree now. And the banana tree like provides is the thing they're showing me with this banana tree. Like it provides bananas to the monkeys and the humans and the banana tree farmers and all that. And what's up with this message? Why is this coming through? I don't know why I'm hearing the words like you might be called to provide for others, but I need to sit with it just another second here just to get the full message. So one second. Like I'm hearing the same thing again, like you might be providing a lot for others. So again, it's another reminder to look after yourself because of what you're going to be doing. For some of you, your dreams like pertain to this, like providing for others, whether it's, it could even be like information, like a tarot reading, like you're providing that guidance or something like that, or you're providing healing if you're like a healer, or, I don't know, providing news if you're on social media, or taking care of others in some way. And I feel like that's a good direction, honestly, because it's like what the banana tree is kind of built for. It's like it's a big part of what the banana tree is like about, is like, you get these bananas and then you spread my banana seeds across the world. Well, you're supposed to, but I don't know if we always do that, but it's fine. But it's part of what the banana tree is developed to do. So I feel like if you're like providing things, that's what you're supposed to be doing. I feel like if you're already doing that, that's like a sign you're on the right track. Very strange. I was wondering if it was going to go in the direction of like providing for a family or something like that, or like a significant other or something like that. But I feel like it's more you providing for the world. So just take that as you're on the right track if you're providing something. Very strange message, but I hope that matters and resonates for you here. So, but there is more here. The banana tree is like not meant to be like overtaken from. So the banana tree is not meant to be left with like nothing. So it's like, it gives some bananas, but it still like has its leaves, it still has its roots, it still receives nutrients and the sunlight so it can make more bananas and things like that. So do your best not to cut yourself off from where you're receiving. Do your best not to give too much away where you can't provide anymore. That message is kind of coming back around for you guys. It's going to be important that you are receiving and giving away what you're supposed to give away, like providing what you're supposed to provide, but not like everything. Like the banana tree doesn't just like give away its leaves and then its bark and then its wood and then its roots. And it's like the Giving Tree book, not to rehash the Giving Tree, but you kind of get it here. I think this is probably one of the last things. They're showing me this like snow white like dragon. So let me see what the message is with this dragon here. I feel like you're divinely protected from things that are like menacing or like that are evil or presented as evil or like dark or trying to bring you down and anything like that. So if you hear any stories about like a coworker working behind your back or he said, she said, blah, 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 you are divinely protected. So do what you need to do what you're guided to do. Get out of any situations that are toxic as you can, of course, and this is for the highest good. But I feel like overall you're going to be okay regarding anything like that. And I feel like Dragon Spirit Animal has your back. Because you might be afraid of these like menacing things, but it's almost just like thinking there's a wolf in the trees or the bushes, but it's actually just a puppy. It's not, the puppy's just not going to do anything or be able to, unless you really messed up somehow or let it do that. But I don't even want to put that out there. So cancel, delete, clear. Puppy can't hurt you. I feel like I've been going on for a long time with this reading, so I might ask them to wrap it up if they're good with that soon. But the next thing they're showing me is a lemon poppy seed muffin. And it's about treating yourself. I wouldn't go overboard, by the way. I wouldn't go buy like that $15,000 amethyst bathtub unless you have that money, and that's play money for you, which cool for you. That's awesome. But treat yourself at least a little bit. Cause like sometimes, for example, if money's tight and like you don't want to treat yourself at all, it's like, it almost just like makes your experience like miserable, where it's like, maybe you can afford like the $2 drink or whatever, or maybe you can afford like the $5 stuffed animal, or the whatever that would be treating yourself. It's like it's okay to still treat yourself if you can to a certain degree. And again, don't go overboard, but it might be important, like for your abundance, some of you right now, that you're giving to yourself, and again, not just giving to everyone else. So that's about it. There might be a few last second messages that come through as well. Like they're showing me this cooking knife, like kitchen knife kind of thing here. There's vegetables being chopped up. There's garlic. There's green onions. They also like this little like heart, or like, you know how swans come together and like they put their heads together and they make the little heart, or sorry, imagine these are swans and they're like, oh, we love each other, or something like, exactly like that. And like they're showing me that as well, which is weird. So let me sit with this for a second and see where this is going here. Some of you, take it as it resonates, have dreams of like having a family. I feel like that can occur. If you're not someone who can have like babies, there might be other ways, like through step family or adoption or something like that. So I know that might not be what you wanted either, but kind of a strange message, but I guess there's a possibility for that for anyone who needs to hear that. Beyond all that here, they're showing something about like cooking for yourself being important, and not eating too much processed foods. It just could become important that you're cooking for yourself for whatever reason, whether it's money or just for health or whatever. So you might want to look into that if you've been feeling the pull to do that, or getting the messages to do that, just in case. It could really help you out. And especially if you're like a sensitive person, I hesitate to put this out there as well, but I'm kind of hearing something along the lines of like, there can be stuff in certain foods that's just like not great long term. It's like, yeah, you can handle it for like a year or like a meal or whatever. And sometimes we're guided to those things like for a meal, for pleasure, or because our body needs something in that, one time or however much there. But at the same time, it might be important to not just like inundate yourself with it 24/7, just for your health or for any other reason. It just could be important that you're balancing that out a little bit is what I'd say. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world if you don't, but highly recommended, I feel. So there's that as well. I do get another message for those of you, like there's like love coming as well with like the swans that I was getting. Those of you who are like single or like looking for that, or I don't know, polyamorous and looking for another person, I don't know, whatever you guys are doing. But like there's like a love option coming, which I very rarely talk about love with these readings, I think, or like get those kinds of messages. So, but when I'm getting those messages, I'll relay them. I just get what comes through, that would be for your highest good is one of my intentions. But I guess there's some type of love coming for a lot of you, or love that's going to increase, like maybe in a partnership, or maybe love that's going to change for the better in some way in a partnership. So, or even like a family situation, if you're like at odds with family members, that could also, I know that's like a lot of different scenarios, but I'm getting a lot of different scenarios for different ones of you. So bear with me. So I guess keep a lookout for that. Make sure it resonates, feels good to you when these people show up, of course, but some type of love is coming. That's like an improvement, I feel. So either improvement in family situation, improvement, like you're single and love is coming in and dates are happening or something, like next month is what I'm hearing. So that's cool. Those are the different scenarios I'm hearing with this one. Anything else before we part ways here? It's just also important you're welcoming love in when it comes and not keeping everyone at arm's length. I know sometimes we need to have proper boundaries and healthy boundaries, and I applaud that if you're doing that. But if you're always keeping everyone at arm's length and no one's ever being let in, like that could be unhealthy. Because that's very, you're kind of just like not letting love in, if that makes sense, or gifts from the universe, even when you're praying for like friendship or healed relationships or whatever. Like just make sure you're welcoming it in if it feels right to you intuitively as well. So they're pretty much done. The last thing they were showing me is like sour cream for like tacos, and like there was whipped cream for a second as well, and like ice cream, blueberry ice cream. What's up with this? So before we close it out here, what's up with the sour cream here? One of the things that was popping in as a message was I used to very much dislike sour cream as a kid. And it's not like I go out and eat sour cream by the spoonful now or anything like that. But I like it in a lot of meals now, or as part of my meals. And maybe there's something that you haven't liked traditionally that you're going to start liking just in life in general, or even like could be like a relationship or a hobby or a pastime, or you gain interest in something that was just kind of neutral to you or something like that. So this is a weird one, but you might even be turning certain things about like money around if you like on some level didn't like money because of the stories you were given, and then you're like, wait a second, this isn't too bad, I don't mind having money. Like or something like that is also popping in. So certain things are changing for the better regarding that. I guess they're done, so hope that resonated. Did whatever's for you guys good, was helpful, and I will one day have this sorted where I just end readings more gracefully. But this ring pop is showing up in my intuitive visuals. And I had this in a different reading I did recently, but it's about accepting certain proposals that come your way, even if it's just like a friend's like, hey, let's go on this trip or this road trip, or maybe, I don't think this is true for all of you, but someone's proposing, and if that's your long-term boo, that might be like one of you, by the way. Things like that. Like I would be accepting certain proposals that come your way to like try new things, do new things, have new experiences, welcome certain changes in, because that could change your world for the better, maybe shake things up, but it's in a positive way, like that. So I'm going to leave it there, and we'll move on to the air signs in a second. And we'll hang out for a second between now and then, between the different readings. That's super cool, Art Sandra. I'm reading that correctly. You were offered that sounds really cool. That was Earth Signs. I feel like I did that. I feel like that was very long. So I've already been live like an hour and a half almost, and laughs in here celibate, but who knows? I hear you, Dana. Well, hopefully whatever is best to show up for you shows up for you. Oh, no need to apologize, Kishay. And hi, Destiny. I hope you're doing great and winning life in your neck of the woods for your world. My mom called, kept you on hold right in time for air. Perfect. You don't need to hear those earth sign messages. Those earth signs. I'm joking because my sun sign is an earth sign, but thank you. Definitely need to hear those messages. You're so welcome. Healing with Healing with Engines. Monster Garage. Healing with Angels. Hi B, doing best I can. Hope you've been doing great. Miss you all lots. Aw. I've been well enough at least, but I hope things improve ever more. Well, for all of you, should it be in the highest good. And but yeah, I missed you too. Always good to see you. Oh, by the way, unexpected engines, yes. I just had like the image, which this might be funnier in my head, but when you said unexpected engines, it turned into this scene that could be from a TV show that's some weird like nightmare someone's having where like engines just like crash through the walls and like rev and like and like Hi, B. Like the new hair. Thanks, Capra. Super appreciate it. And super good to see you. I hope you're doing great out there in the wild. Oh, thank you, Dana. I'm super glad to hear it was amazing. Haven't been with a live in a while. Intended to make it, and it's hitting all the right spots. Perfect. Glad to have you here. And I trust you all show up for the right ones. So no pressure, but thank you very much for the feedback as well. Beep, boop. Yeah, we'll hang out for a bit. We'll hang out for a bit more, and then we'll start the air signs. We'll talk about air currents and things. That was a terrible joke, but whatever. I'm guessing you guys are talking about breaks between relationships. Loving the haircut. Thanks, Cow Tippa. But you're saying authentic mix said exactly. I've been taken 3 years. Don't regret it at all. I hear that. Sometimes those times between relationships are powerful, and the train makes a horn sound as I say that. So, thanks, Mari. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing great. I need to stop singing during the live, or I need to keep singing during the live, or I need to only sing during the live, and that's all I do, and it just turns into musical readings. And that's an idea for someone out there who wants to do that, because I'm not going to do that. But I do hope you're doing great, and everyone else as well. I'll answer this. I'll see what comes through. Beep Leaf asks, I love that username. Do you have tips on having better energetic boundaries? Also, singing is always good. It's fun. Awesome. Thank you, Beep Leaf. Let me see what comes through. For starters, this is definitely something I deal with a lot, especially as far as like picking up on energies from like people, or sometimes, even like doing the lives, if you can or can't tell, or in different ways. There are certain things I've had to like stop doing due to like energetic sensitivities. So sometimes, let me see what they'd like to say here. One, for you, the advice I'm getting, and potentially for people listening, I would do your best to set intentions or put in place exercises like every day to divinely protect your energies, put up healthy energetic boundaries. Whether there's like a specific exercise you've heard from someone or read somewhere and you're just putting that into practice, like whether it's like a 5-minute visualization and intention or meditation, or something that you visualize or do before you go out into public or something like that, that could help over time if you're repeatedly putting that in place and setting those intentions, and maybe cleansing your energies every day at the end of the day, or having an exercise or process for that as well. And then maybe even playing around with different exercises and see what works best for you regarding all of that. There's different people with different approaches. There's certain ones out there that are very like well known or more mainstream, where it's like put a bubble around you, put a bubble around them. And I found that sometimes those work, but also other times it's just like not the right fit for everybody, it seems, because I sometimes I got to a point at one point where I was like, I don't think, and some of you, or maybe even a lot of you might relate, where it's just like, I was almost like, I don't think most people are this sensitive, like as sensitive as I've gotten, because it's like whatever they're saying just does not work. Like they could say all their tips to like the mainstream tips till the moon or cows come back home. Sorry, I'm mixing up my phrases. And I'd still just be picking up on like everything and be like, what is going on here? So that's why I don't know why I'm saying that, but I think it's just so, maybe partially you don't feel like you're wrong if those mainstream tips don't work for you, because I don't know. I just think sometimes we go beyond the mainstream, even for metaphysical. But let me see what else comes through for you as far as like helpful tips here. I would definitely, if you don't already have some type of energy work modality or tool that you work with to, energy healing, like clear your energies, have more in your tool belt to protect your energies, whether it's like Reiki and symbols, or it's another modality in some way, that's going to give you more to work with as well with all that. And I hesitate to say this one, but one thing that, let me double check. It's safe to say it. So I'll say it and you can tell me if it resonates or not. But sometimes we're picking up on something, but we're not actually in danger and we might not actually be absorbing it either. And like we like think it's us and there's something wrong with us, but we're just picking up on this person we're on the phone with or things like that. So you might just have to be mindful of like who you're around sometimes, what kind of social situations you put yourself into, and just honor the fact that you're very sensitive energetically. Not go to certain restaurants that always feel awful to you, or certain parts of town if you can help it. Not always jam yourself in a room with a bunch of people, not always call the the family member that you always have anxiety ramp up beforehand because they're anxious and you're picking up on it and you start having anxious thoughts, etc. So sometimes the boundary is just not engaging, is what I'll say as well. Because again, you might not be in danger energetically, it's just you're aware, if that makes sense. So, and you kind of have to balance that and cultivate your awareness to the degree where you realize what the difference is between I'm just picking up on this and I need to walk away from this right now. Or, for me, like usually my guys will be like, I might start picking up on stuff and be like, I don't want to go into that store. And you guys are like, you're fine. Go into the store, do the thing. We got you. I'm like, okay. But then sometimes you're also like, okay, you need to leave now. And that's my cue to like, okay, time to go. So that's another thing as well. There's one more thing they'd like to get to for you as well that might be helpful as far as like energetic boundaries. Realize that you're growing and expanding, and as you do so, you might need additional or new tools to help yourself. I'm not always a fan of that paradigm personally. There's a couple different things I've kind of come to where it's like, sometime, like if you think of a hammer, like a hammer is going to act like a hammer no matter what degree of skill you get to with building things. It's like you aren't always going to need something different than a hammer when you need a hammer, if that makes sense. But you might get to a point where a jackhammer is going to be required for the project instead of just a hammer, or a sledgehammer instead of like a handheld hammer. So just be open to, maybe that wasn't the right way to phrase that, but be open to new like tools, ways of doing things as they come in. I'd also be putting it out to the universe like, hey, please give me the things I need to help with energetic boundaries, the realizations, the belief systems, and things like that. I'm going to talk about this as well because it could be helpful. But your beliefs around it could also be important. I told this story in a different live recently, and I'll just reference it because it could pertain to this as well for you in certain ways. But for example, there was this one thing where for me, like when I was manifesting or creating, how it worked for me would be like ask and I will receive, or set the intention and it shows up. And that was how it was showing up. And I would watch it show up that way. I knew that's how it showed up and I knew the energies around it. But then I was like inundated somehow with like post after post after post after, and like I used to watch a lot of readings on YouTube. I still do sometimes, but not as much. But I'd like reading after reading, and all these people would be saying like, "Oh, like what you think something and it manifests," or like what you think about you manifest. Like you have a thought and it manifests. And like I don't want to say resistant at first because I think people have a lot of weird things around the word resistance, but I was like, okay, like that's interesting, but no, for me, it's asking you will receive. This is how it's been showing up. It's like, no, for me, it's, intend and it will show up. But eventually it almost like wore down at me and I like succumbed to what they were saying. And I watched this happen. Like I was aware of it. And energetically what shifted was like, I felt this like energy field like around my head, like my brain, and like with my thoughts. And all of a sudden that's when it was like, I would think something and it would show up and manifest, or I'd think something and it would show up and manifest. And so that turned into a whole thing. But what I would say one of the lessons was potentially is, if we start to become afraid of other people's, and there's times where we need to be aware and just, pay attention to what's showing up and make adjustments accordingly. But if we start to get into a belief that we need to watch out for others' energies all the time, and we start putting intention and belief and energy into that and creating it, that could potentially become a problem for some people. And that could also potentially be, I'm not saying this is for sure, but could also potentially be why certain people will have different beliefs and say different things about spirituality, and they're both so sure that that's the way it works or something. And I'm not sure about what I just said, so nix that for now. But I feel like I'm on track. I'm sort of getting towards something. But do your best to see either what's really true for you about energy sensitivity and like how it works, and like really work with your intuition, channeling people who really resonate for you and have always been consistently accurate for you on how that works. And not just buying into a potentially like fear-based belief on how it works that would have you be like afraid to go out in public in a short sleeve shirt for fear of brushing up against someone or something like that, if that makes sense. Or like maybe it's best that you don't have a belief that you're just like always absorbing energies like a sponge or something like that. I think sometimes we have certain like beliefs or things we agree with and create that aren't necessarily beneficial, where it's like, oh, if I'm, an example might be like, oh, I'm so high vibrational and sorry, I'm not explaining this well, but if you have like a correlation that might not necessarily be true, like for example, someone might have an idea or belief that like if you're high vibrational, you absorb energies like a sponge. But does that have to be the truth? Like, no, you could be high vibrational and not absorb energies and have the boundaries that are there and be fine. So I'd also be a little bit wary of like the beliefs being spit at you that way, where it's just, if that makes sense, and not just like buy into it without sitting with it and be like, okay, is this true? Are these things necessarily true that I'm being sold, etc.? So I'm sorry if that spun you around. Hopefully some of that was helpful at least, and not too generic or not too boring to listen to or anything like that, because that's something I've really gone through a tussle with, is like the amount of sensitivity I have and like the different beliefs thrown at me regarding it and what we end up creating. And I think sometimes we don't have to be as afraid of it as we're taught, but we have to be aware of what is showing up and what we need to do, regardless of whether it lines up with what someone has shared with us as their belief or not. So I'm done with that, they're saying. So hopefully that was good to listen to and made sense. And so hopefully that helps. Hi, Lainey, by the way. Okay, so we might hang out for a second longer, but we have air and water signs to do, and then probably full channel mode message, and we'll probably close the live after that. I haven't done the Reiki infused guitar in a while. I don't think I'll do it today. We're already almost 2 hours in, but we'll see. Sometimes I go on long things and talk about them to answer a comment, and I miss whatever's going on in chat. So I'm a little not lost with chat, but I don't know what's really enjoying the convo. Awesome, glad to hear it. Authentic Mystic. I'm going to do a quick shout out to the moderators as well. Whoever is here today. I saw Destiny, which is great to see you. I know I often see Rockin' Robin. I think I see China Moon Girl. Marina is often here as a moderator. So anyone who's here and anyone who's helping out in chat, just wanted to say thank you and just send some love. And I encourage all of you to be, you are all already awesome for the mods. I know most of you who show up, consistently, but feel free to send them some love or some gratitude or something, some well wishes. And because they just help it run smoothly, so I don't have to police the chat while I'm trying to do readings or anything like that. So, oh, there's Marina. Okay, so we're going to start the air signs. I'm going to get water afterwards before, because I know y'all are probably about to yell at me to drink water. So I'm going to get water after the air signs. And thank you guys for thanking the mods. Okay. So sorry for the pause. If you have an air sign, sun, moon, or rising, it's meant to be for you when you see it. I know I have weird pauses sometimes. I'm just setting intentions or picking up on something, and I need to kind of stay with it for a second, or things like that. But If you have an air sign, sun, moon, or rising, it's for you when you see it. Got channel messages that I'll be bringing through while we're here. So I'm just going to be flowing with what's coming through. So let's start. Divine Healing Theory asks, where's the beard? I trimmed it. Changing things up a little bit. Anyways, but coming back to the reading here with the air signs, funny enough, the first thing they're showing me is the movie like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and I don't know what it means yet, so let me sit with it for 1 second while they explain this for you. It's about unexpected events, and we've been on the topic of change all day today with all the readings, but unexpected events, unexpected changes, unexpected trajectory shifts even. It's for the highest good. And if like meatballs actually started raining from the sky, you'd probably be like, what? This is crazy. I don't feel like meatballs are actually going to be raining from the sky, but I feel like changes like that you're like, what? This is crazy, could be occurring, if that makes sense. Because again, you might be expecting to go one way and then it's just like, 180. Or you might be expecting to, the example that seems a little bit silly to me that they're showing me is like, maybe you're expecting to go on a vacation to the mountains, and then you get redirected to like the ocean or something like that. Or it just like seems like something completely different than what you were aiming for. This could also be happening, and they're showing me like friction between tectonic plates as well, like would happen in an earthquake, but they're also showing like shifts in your relationships too in a similar fashion where things are just kind of like switching up or just changing in really rapid ways. Not a bad thing necessarily. I think it's just like, if that happens in relationships, like the parties involved might just be on different paths, or they just need to go in different directions. And maybe it's not even a fault of your own. It's just something needs to change there for you or that other person. So if that's happening, I'd do your best not to be mad about it, but try to let it go with grace or something like that. I feel like it's best for both if anything like that is happening. As far as like the friction with the plates, like the tectonic plates here. Let me sit with that for a second here. I feel like if there are changes in your life that are causing friction for you, that's going to like release soon, like the change is just going to occur. So as an example for that, like maybe you are not sure if you're about to have a change in your job or not, or either lose your job or get a promotion or whatever it is that changes that's happening. So there's a lot of friction like with like the change. Or maybe it's like rubbing up in other areas of your life. You're like, I don't know if I can make this move because of this move, like, etc. But then it just like happens and everything just like kind of like dominoes just like falls over. And dominoes that are lined up to fall over, not the game, domino effect. Weird message, but there's going to be a lot of release regarding the friction in your changes. I just feel like things are just gonna like happen, and I feel like it could be very like sudden or like a whirl, no pun intended, like a whirlwind. So keep that in mind as well, I suppose. I feel like if you're also just feeling a lot of friction right now, it could be like a sign things are changing or are about to shift for you and will happen very suddenly. So just pay attention to where you're feeling friction in your life, either over and over again or repeatedly or in certain situations or things like that. Next, they're showing me a ball. They're actually showing me the ball from Toy Story, the one that has like a star on it and it's like yellow and blue, I believe. So I don't know if that matters, but let me sit with this for a second here. So if you're afraid of hitting rock bottom, and any of you, like, I feel like you're going to bounce. I don't feel like you're actually going to like splat, if that makes sense regarding hitting rock bottoms. So you might feel like certain things are like falling in your life or heading towards that, but they're really not. And it might even seem similar to past situations where like everything fell apart, but I feel like the times have changed and things aren't going to play out the same way, if that makes sense, whether it's in a relationship or in a situation where it seems like things are falling apart. So still do what you have to do and take action on things as you need to, but I just feel like it's going to be different if you were like afraid of certain cycles repeating or anything like that. Um, the other thing is like I just don't feel like if things are falling apart, they're not. I just feel like they're not going to fall apart as badly as they seems like they will. I feel like also there's just better coming in right away. Because sometimes like there's a change, we walk away from something, something walks away from us. We have to wait a little bit before the next thing comes in. Like sometimes you have to wait a little bit between lovers, for example. However, I feel like whatever this is, like something like falling apart, it's very quick. It's like a week or a month or sooner than that. So that's cool as well. If you feel like anything's like falling apart, I like that. Definitely not a bad thing. I just feel like you as well are ready for like instant shifts or certain instant shifts. I don't feel like everyone is, but I think one of the other signs had a similar message about like instant shifts coming in. And but let's move on to the next thing here with the ball. Here, we're not done with the ball. It's also about like play. I don't know why it's coming through this way, but sometimes like we have certain things we really enjoyed as far as play as a kid, like a certain ball or toys, and you become an adult and you kind of look at it and you're just kind of like, okay, it's not the same anymore. So you might have to do like different things, or like maybe the way you play is changing in life in general right now, even if it's like recent that you like. An example would be like liked video games or something, and then all of a sudden like you just kind of feel called away and you start enjoying golf or something. It's like I'm just getting this message like you might need to play differently, or like I feel like first and foremost you need to play as far as like having play in your life, playing more in your life, having fun in your life, having joy in your life, things like that. It just like might need to be different than it's been, or it's in the process of changing is what I'd say. So I would gravitate towards play in the new ways you're drawn to, even if it like seems boring at first to like old you, or you're beating yourself up because you don't like what you used to like. It's like that's okay is what I'd say. It's just like you need something different. Kind of like the conversation we had just before this reading, if you were here for it, where it's like sometimes as we grow and expand, we need different tools to help ourselves in certain situations. It's kind of like that, but with play, if that makes sense. So they're showing this someone throwing this frisbee, and they're showing this dog. There's like another star, like 5-point star on this frisbee as well, if that's a sign for you in any way, shape, or form. But let me sit with this and see what the message is. One second. Aside from all that, I do feel like I am getting a message like there's play coming your way, like there's going to be increased play in some way, where whether people are inviting you to things or you're being forced into it. So I would just accept it and have fun, honestly, if that's happening. I also wouldn't judge the things that bring you joy. Like they're showing me this ice cream. It's like, if you care about the flavor they're showing me, it's like mint chocolate chip, and I forget the name of the brand, but I know what it is, so sorry about that. But anyways, they're showing me ice cream and saying like don't judge like what you find yourself enjoying. So I think ice cream could be something that people really judge themselves for, or judge themselves for eating, like, oh, this is unhealthy. Am I being gross? Am I being, I don't know, whatever. But you get it. And it's like, maybe it's okay to enjoy ice cream sometimes and like make that a part of your world if it brings you joy. And even if you're really into like exercise and maybe you have like a cheat day, like the slow carb diet, if you've heard of that you can incorporate those things into, or something like that. But I'm going to rewind for a second because that's not what they wanted me to say right now. One second. Just don't judge what you enjoy within reason. Just try to enjoy it is what I'd say, and like let go of that. And even if like the judgment is around like you enjoy having fancy things in your life, like a nice car or something like that, not it's like that's really okay is kind of the message. So even if other people would judge you for it, like that doesn't matter. So we're gonna move on to the next message here. Trees have showed up for almost every single reading today, which I find interesting. The Earth signs also had a fir tree, I believe, and you guys, air signs, are getting a fir tree as well. But the message is like different here, because they're showing this evergreen tree, this fir tree, and it's grown really massive, and it's like about to die actually, and it's lived a good life. I don't know why this is the story, but bear with me. And it's almost like this tree is being asked, like, what are the things it would like to bring with it into the next life? before it goes. And so it's kind of reminiscing and like selecting certain memories and things like that. Kind of like has been happening with everyone else. Your world is changing a lot. I would sit with like, what are the things you would like to either keep with you or have again in the future, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying this perfectly, but if things are changing and you might feel like you are losing certain things, or you feel like you have to lose a lot or something like that, sometimes we can carry the aspects of what we enjoyed into the future, even if the circumstances are totally different. So for example, you might be like, oh, I'm changing my job, or my job is changing. You might sit with like, oh, I enjoyed that it was easy. I enjoyed that I had this amount of money to come in. There might be things you want to be different as well. That's cool to note too. Like I enjoyed my coworkers, and kind of like sit and like reflect and like, what are the things I've enjoyed so far and would like to keep? And then I guess maybe from there, what are the things I'd like to change as well, if you feel called to? It could be a key to creating a better life. Because I think sometimes when things change, we think we're going to lose everything. But you can have an aspect you enjoyed in this past thing in a future thing as well, if that makes sense, and kind of bring that in. Like you might have loved a friend's sense of humor before they moved away or something. And you can be like, oh, I really enjoyed this friend's sense of humor, how they lit up the room, how I felt around them. And then you can just, okay, I'd like those things going forward or something. And then the universe will bring you a new person that like has those traits, if that makes sense. But again, same for like job, career, home situations, things like that. Could just be helpful to keep in mind right now. And I just looked at a comment that says, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think that fits perfectly. So thank you, Jessica, for bringing that one in. And I rarely look at the comments, so it's interesting that I did. So let's move on here. I guess everyone's getting bananas as well. I guess the universe has a sense of humor today with that here. This banana as well is like old. I'm not saying you're an old banana, but this banana is like old and like rotting. And he like needs to be repurposed for something. Because like when a banana is like old or like overripe, depending on the level of overripeness, of course, it can't always be used for its old purposes, which would be like a snack, or maybe it could still be dropped in a smoothie, but like certain things that just like a normal ripe banana would be used for, like it has to be used for like banana bread, or you throw it in the freezer to preserve it and then use it in some different way like that. So the message with this is very strange. You might be ready to like get rid of something, but it can actually be like repurposed, whether it's like actually a literal physical object, or maybe it is a relationship in some way, and like you don't realize the relationship can kind of transform to stay with you in some way or something like that. I want to sit with better clarification though, because these messages have seemed a little bit different today than normal. So there are a lot of things in your life that are changing, but also another angle that they'd like to bring in is like there are a lot of things in your life that are going to be repurposed and like stay with you in new ways, is something I'm getting. So I don't feel like you're losing everything. If any of you have felt like you're anywhere close to that, some of you might be like, I don't feel like I'm losing anything at all, but I actually don't feel like that's true. I feel like a lot of you, like a vast percentage of you, at least like 92% or something is what I'm getting, are like, nope, that hits. I don't know why that's important for you to hear, but I hope that's helpful in some way before you just like start throwing things out or neglecting certain things or something like that. And for some of you, like you are the one that's being repurposed. Like you've kind of hit this phase in your life where it's like metaphorically you are overripe and you're about to be transitioned to something where you're repurposed, if that makes sense. So what would be an example of that if they'd like to give one? It'd be like an old car that has seen its heyday, but it's really cool and it gets put in an auto museum, and then kids get to play with it, and jump inside of it, and people get to enjoy it or something like that. It's just being repurposed for a new thing. Or as far as how that would happen for you, maybe you've done like a bunch of like tarot readings and you're kind of like ready to hang it up or something like that, or you feel like you've served your purpose intuitively or something, but it's like Spirit's like, hey, like you still have this skill, like let's do it a bit differently. Or maybe they're like, let's just start posting videos instead of doing it in person, or something like that, as an example. But like you might not be like done, it's just being repurposed. So I feel like I beat that message to a pulp a little bit. Next thing they're showing me is a bee, like a bumblebee. This bee is like traveling. It's going like a very vast distance. Like it's going from like, I don't know where bumblebees reside totally in the world, by the way. Like, but it's in this like map they're showing me. It's moving from like Canada, like all the way down to like a southern state in the United States, or something like that. Or it's just moving a very vast difference for a bee. And again, like you might be called to like really relocate a lot of things, where things are vastly different, and like everyone is being called to change right now is kind of the message. So let me see if there's something deeper with that, with the honeybee here. You might also be called to like transform through that transition, or as you're moving things around. I think that's par for the course right now as well. What else is this bumblebee saying? This honeybee saying? One phrase that they're bringing in is like, you might be called to change things further than you've ever changed them before, or go further than you've ever gone before in some way. It could be literally with a move, but it could also be like, I've never transitioned this far away from an industry I worked in into something totally different, or I've never dated someone so different than the type of people I've dated in the past, or something like that. I feel like that's actually the right move for certain areas for some of you here. So take that one as it resonates, honestly. But if you're making a big transition like that, where you're changing things drastically, like that's already underway, or that's coming up where you have to do that, I feel like that's a good move as well here. So last message they'd like to get to, I think they're not playing with me a little bit, but sometimes they start bringing through a lot of the same symbols for messages, and it starts to not mess with me, but I just like, okay, are we repeating ourselves too much? But showing me a jaguar again for you guys, so it might just be one of the major energies right now, or spirit animals wanting to show up for these readings here. And it's about taking a leap, actually. You know how big cats can like jump really far and high and stuff like that. Like this jaguar takes this jump. So I feel like taking leaps of faith is required soon, is what I'd say, whether it's a change in business, change in relationships. And I feel like that's, of course, it's going to help transform your world, but it's going to help transform your world and put in play a lot of the things like you need right now. And sometimes, maybe not always, but sometimes we have to kind of be an active participant in transforming our world. Like sometimes things are just happening like for us, or I don't want to say to us, but you understand what I'm saying, where it's just kind of like it's out of our hands a little bit. You might have to be an active participant in changing your world, you guys, with what you're called to do, leaps you're called to take. And it's like, you know, you need to do it, but you're really hesitant. So I would just kind of do it. If you've ever played Super Mario, like especially the original ones, I think it's like the original one especially, there are certain like side-scrolling like Super Mario games where it's like you can't go backwards once you've got to a certain point. It's like the screen moves with you, and then like the edge of the screen is like there, and you can't go backwards. And it's kind of like that, where it's like you have to take a leap or like jump, but the screen's coming, and like if you don't jump, it just like pushes you off, or like there's just no way to go back, and you just kind of have to you just have to jump. So don't like put yourself into a hole or pigeonhole yourself, or back yourself into a corner by not taking leaps you need to take, you know, especially over the next couple of weeks. Definitely the next month or two for sure. Because everyone's being called to change, but you might have to be active with it, is what I'd say. There's also this like visual of like things being washed clean. I feel like this is actually internal for you. Because like if change is washing over you, or you feel called to take those leaps, or you have to be an active participant to make those leaps, it's like washing your world clean. And I'm not trying to get biblical or definitely not religious with you guys at all. But I grew up Catholic, so I remember a lot of the Bible stories and stuff. And there's the flood that God brought through to cleanse the land or whatever. And he's like, Noah, build the ark and take all the animals and stuff. And I don't know. But not literally that, of course. Not physically that, probably. But metaphorically, like that could be happening a little bit, like as you're making changes and like reorganizing things. So I feel like you're cleansing yourself as you change, and like kind of cleansing the land of your life a little bit, or that's happening right now for you as things transition or will occur in some ways. So Part of these changes that are going on for you is like, it's a cleansing is what I'd say as well. So anything else before we part ways here? I guess we're doing banana again, so bear with me, because we already did like old ripe banana, but what else is going on here? I feel like new things are about to blossom for you. So this isn't just meant to be a message of like, oh, things are going to be wrecked and be afraid and take leaps and all this stuff. It's kind of like there are things that are being planted for you now, like a path that's been paved for you by spirits, things that are going to be blossoming for you soon that you don't see coming. So there's a lot of positive mixed in with any trepidation you might be experiencing, or fear or anything like that, or nervousness. There is a lot of positivity laced in and mixed in with this new phase for you, so pay attention to that and receive that as well, because it's definitely a time for the new for you guys, kind of for everybody honestly as well, not just air signs, but it's going to be hitting you guys very hard soon in like the best ways, so pay attention to that as well and stay open to that. Okay, I feel like that's it though. They're really caught up on this flood message before we part ways though, with like a flood. I feel like you have been going through a flood in some ways, where like there's been a lot of changes in your world in some way. I don't feel like that's stopping, honestly. So you might just be called to just kind of roll with it. Again, like everyone's kind of had a similar message, it seems like, between the signs, or certain signs have, but I wouldn't like try to cling to what's flooding and being changed and like drown. I'd try to transition, take the leaps, metaphorically build the boats, get in the boats, go to where God is taking you. Because it's, again, same with like the collective reading and all the readings that have come, like it's going to be better, or it's teaching you something, or it's necessary in some ways. So it's like a necessary transition. So that's it. Okay, sorry, grasshoppers showing up as well here. I'm getting like, they're showing someone like pulling this grasshopper's legs, but the words I'm hearing are like, no one's pulling your leg. So what's that about here? There might be certain people like you think they're lying to you, but I have to be careful with this one, but they're like not in some way, like especially family members, or maybe certain people trying to help you. It's like maybe sometimes you get, or certain people listening to this get so used to being like jerked around that like they don't believe anybody, but it's okay to listen to some of the people in your world instead of like shutting everybody out. So there are certain people that are just trying to help you and not pull your leg. So of course, like, do your best to discern, use your intuition on who those people are, etc. But try not to think that like everyone's lying all the time to you or anything like that, if that's something you're dealing with, or even certain people that have been trying to help you, if that makes sense. Because not everybody's mean is what I'd say, or trying to like bring you down or anything like that. So that's it. Okay. You guys, we're going to move to the water signs in a second, and I'm going to potentially go grab water really quickly because I'm out, and I've been talking for like 3 hours. So 2 hours. I'm sorry. Yeah, 2 hours. Lenny Gray asked, is it weird I get super sleepy and relaxed when I listen to live? Absolutely not. There's a lot going on energetically for the highest good with the channeling. So, for example, there's the messages coming through. There's also the energetic transmission from source coming along with the channel content. So you're getting perhaps quite a bit more than just the words. The messages and accuracy are very important to me, and I would say to the readings as well, or I'm always intending like, yeah, fully accurate, fully helpful, fully for the highest good, as much as I have a say in it. But there's also an energetic transmission or energy healing that's happening along with the reading to help you out or do whatever is for your highest good regarding the messages, or just for you in general at this time, or whatever it's for the highest good. So I don't want to limit it. That's probably why what I'm getting is that's a big part of why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. I eat ice cream and enjoy it at 1 a.m. and you start speaking about that, and I eat old banana. Oh, there you go. Love that synchronicity. You're welcome, Amy. I'm glad that was helpful. And yeah, that's I understand. I very much understand. Best value for the buck on TikTok. Thanks, Marina. I appreciate it. Um, I would always like this to be as valuable as would be for the highest good for it to be, or fully, valuable, whatever is for the highest good, of course. But um, I've got a full fridge of fermenting bananas. Oh no, it's banana bread time or something. Brandon, did you cut your hair? Look great. As always. Thanks so much, Angel. I so appreciate it. I did. I got a haircut the other day. I know I had super long hair and I was always wearing beanies because I didn't want to like mess with it all the time. But and it worked as a look. But it was time to cut my hair. If you missed it, California had an earthquake while you channeled. Oh, holy crap. We were just talking about earthquakes too in one of the signs. So that's pretty dang synchronistic, but I did miss it. Spence says, feel that, Lainey. It's been a while and so filling me up to be here today. That means so much, and I'm so glad to hear it, Spence. So not that was directed at me, but I wanted to say I really appreciate reading that. Oh my, it was at the same time. No way. That's something. That's super synchronistic. Thanks you. Well, I want to say thanks universe for the synchronicity, but if it was like a bad earthquake, I don't necessarily desire the devastation of the people. So that's kind of a selective thank you. Oh, thank you, Spence. Super appreciate it. It was pretty small. Okay, we're good then. We're good. Thanks, universe. Ooh, Britt says, so happy to be here. Wildfire here the last few days. Ooh, thank you, Brandon. You're welcome. Stay safe with the wildfire. No damage or injuries reported so far. Perfect. We're good. Did you finish the channel? We still have the water signs to do and then the full channel mode. So we finished a few channeled readings, I guess, but just confirmation. Exactly, Amanda. Exactly. So I am going to get water really quickly. Our house was saved. Perfect. Glad to hear it. Good news. So I'm going to get water. I'll be back in like 2 minutes tops. It doesn't take long, and then we'll start the water signs or hang out a bit and then start the water signs, and then we'll go from there. But I know I missed last week, and I just wanted to say it's good to see you guys. It's good to hang out with you here. I missed you guys, and I appreciate getting to be here and do all this. So I'll be right back, okay? Thank you for bearing with me. I'm in the middle of the most intense spiritual awakening to date, so this channel session is 100. Perfect. Perfect. I'm glad to hear it. Cool. Jump around, jump around. The mug says grateful. I realize I probably didn't hold it up in front of the screen long enough. Yeah, there we go. Grateful. It was a great Target find in like 2019, I think. So, Not to bring that year back. Let's move forward. Still on? Heck yeah. So we're going to do the water signs, Sun, Moon, Horizon next. Whew. They would like me to start the reading, so I will oblige them. The spirit guide and the angels and source and the universe and all that. I guess I'll do it, guys. Gosh. Joke. I think it'd be best if I was not a bratty teenager to the universe. But anyways, let's get back in the flow here. So if you have a water sign, Sun, Moon, or Rising, it's meant to be for you whenever you see it, either here live or on YouTube. And I'm just going to flow with the channel messages coming in for you. And just fully for the highest good, and may this do whatever is for your highest good, of course. And first thing they're showing me is a heart. It's actually, I just saw the heart, but they also were showing me the heart from, if you're familiar with the game The Legend of Zelda, any of them, there's usually the health meter is a bunch of like the hearts, like the 8 heart-looking hearts. Anyways, and they showed me that, like specifically from The Legend of Zelda. There's this aspect of the game where you can like get more hearts so that you have more health, and so you can, take more hits or take on more difficult parts of the game, if you will. And as far as why this is showing up for you for your reading here, I do get that you're getting an upgrade where you might be able to just like handle more in life. I'm not saying life is going to become awful to you, because sometimes we level up in like a video game and life isn't that much harder. The game isn't that much harder. It's like, yeah, there's this extra thing thrown in, but sometimes it's more fun. Sometimes it actually gets easier because you've leveled up as like as a person, and then like, or as a character in the video game or whatever, and then you can handle it with more ease and with more grace, if that makes sense. That's totally you, is what I'm getting. So somehow, some way, you're getting this upgrade where you're able to handle things better, and like life won't be, I hesitate to say life won't be as challenging, but that's what I'm hearing, is life won't be as challenging as a result. So congrats on the level up is what I'm getting. The other thing that they're bringing through with Zelda, for whatever reason, for this crowd, as part of these messages here today, for some reason, what they're going towards is like there is a place in the game you get to where you're like, you're done, you've beat the game. Like maybe there's a few more things to do, but you've kind of accomplished the main objective is kind of the message. So I'm going to ask for clarification, because I don't think it means you're like done with life or anything like that, but you are getting to this like phase where you're close to wrapping up what you're doing in this phase, or like, I guess in Zelda there's multiple games, but you're almost like done with this game is what they're saying. It's probably what that actually means for you right now. There's like a phase of your life that's ending. There's like something you're wrapping up. There's something that's about to change drastically. Because it's like, sometimes the upgrade in this thing they're showing me is like, you might get like an upgraded game entirely. It's like, you're done with this game, now you can play the next game, if that makes sense. And like, it could even be totally different, but it could be better and way more fun, potentially. I know that you could probably point at a bunch of examples in video games where the sequel wasn't better, even though it was on a better console or whatever. But I digress. That's not the message that I'm getting for you guys. It's like, it's gonna be better. So congrats on metaphorically beating the game is what I'm getting. I don't think this, maybe some of you are literally playing a video game, you're like, how did he know? And that's just synchronistic that way. But I feel like this is about life, metaphorically, not just like something you're doing in a game right now. Excuse me. So what all that really means, and what I'm really kind of getting for you here, is like we've been saying with all the readings, it's time for change. It's time for a new game. It's like time for something completely different. So again, if you guys have certain things that are ending, or cycles that are wrapping up, or new beginnings coming in, it's going to be better. I feel like it's going to be more fun, more enjoyable, more up your alley even. It's because sometimes we go back and we play old like video games. If you play video games, you're like, yeah, it wasn't as fun as like the first time, or it wasn't as fun as like the newer games that I'm more used to, to that person at the time that they play it. So it could be different for someone else, but in the video game analogy, literally. Anyways, I just feel like you're getting something better again, which is really cool. The next thing they'd like to get to here is they're referencing video games again, but it's like the final boss is kind of what they're talking about. What's the message for you guys here? It's either like you've already defeated it, or maybe some of you feel like you're like, if you're in like some challenge or something you're going through, maybe you're like halfway through like defeating the final boss. One thing I want to mention is like, not every, I realize we're really in like a video game analogy with this reading, so not sure what's going on with that, but let's just, hopefully these messages are landing regardless, it doesn't matter. But what they're saying is like, sometimes the final boss isn't even that like challenging, it's just like fun, or it's very cinematic, or it's there to be like an experience, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying you're going to be having a difficult time. If you are, that's one thing. I feel like you're almost through it though. If you are, it's kind of like, for that, if you're going through a difficult time, they're showing it to me, for those of you that are, they're showing it to me as like a rapids, like whitewater rafting almost, where it's like you go through the rapids, and then you're like in the smooth water eventually. And you're not going to metaphorically go over the waterfall in a negative way or anything like where you're dead or, you know, in the whitewater rafting. It's just, you're almost through it is kind of what I'm getting. And then you can kind of get off the white water rafting ride and go about your life, I guess. For others of you though here, again, we said it already, but you're just about to the end of this like phase of your life that this game that they're showing me is representing. I feel like you've already defeated like the worst parts, or you like don't even realize it's over. Like sometimes maybe you play a video game and you beat it, you're like, that's it, there's not more. Maybe it's even kind of like that. So again, if drastic change hits you as just a new game is what I'd say that's better suited to you. So let's move over here. They are showing me a river next. They're showing it like from the top down, like a map or GPS or flying in an airplane, where this river is like feeding into this like lake or something like that. Sometimes like we get to these phases of life or areas of life where we're there for like a long time. So they're showing me like these settlers or like pioneers, and like they find this like beautiful location by the lake, and then they decide to set up a town there and build houses there, and like they're there for the rest of their lives. And this example I'm getting. So you might be getting to this phase in your life where you kind of like stay there for a while, and like you're not moving around so much. You're not changing everything all the time. There might still be things that change, but like, and I would say this is probably after you beat the game metaphorically with the analogy we were talking about, and like start the new phase. Or it could just be specific areas, like even like your home life, like maybe you find a place to live or buy a house and you're like, okay, I'm here for like a long time. Like I really like this place. It's the right spot for me to kind of settle down here. So I feel like there are either areas of life that are going to be slowing down in a positive way, where you get to kind of settle a little bit in a good, not settle as in like you're settling for things, but settle down, if that makes sense, in a positive way. Where you're almost up to a lot of things that are going to be really good for you for a long time. And because sometimes like maybe you feel like you get really good things in your life and then they just kind of wash away the next month, or, you know, or you date this really cool person and then they're gone, or, you know, things like that happen. Not saying that is happening for you, but if you might understand what I'm saying, or you've gone through similar things. I just feel like certain things are going to stay, are going to be coming in, which is really cool. Or it's like a phase that like it's really positive and it like lasts a long time or something like that. So if it's negative, I don't feel like it's going to last forever. So try not to freak out with that message either. So long-term situations. Anyways, what's the next message here regarding all this here? They're talking about, I'm not saying that you're coming up on the end of your life, but they're talking about the end of life in general, and they might have a message because of it. So let me sit with this for a second here. It's just a reminder. It's a message like to really sit with like, what are the things you're going to wish you would have done by the end of your life? What are the experiences you wish you would have had? Where are the places you would have wanted to go, the things you would have wanted to have, etc. I would really like sit and make a list and like make sure you do those things. I don't want to limit it. I know there's people who talk about stretching time and working with time and all that stuff. And at the same time, the message I'm getting for you is there's only a certain amount of time you have for a lifetime, theoretically. At least maybe to our perspective, or however it works, whatever. But you understand what I'm saying. Like eventually your current incarnation will probably pass on and become something different or whatever. But what's the main way to say this? There are things you're meant to do, or even just experiences you'd like to have that are like it's important that you have them. So try not to like poo-poo it too much and keep saving it for later, every year. Because sometimes we have to, there's other things going on. But if like 10 years goes by and you haven't done any of it, like I'd really sit with that and question that and see what you can change that you're still able to do regarding the list. It's just kind of important you have the experiences you would like to have, honestly. And I was going to say something along the lines, they want me to hold off of it for a second. So what else do we need to say with that? I mean, you get it. I don't need to beat a dead horse. You've probably heard people say similar things a lot of different times. But there are a few things that are hitting me as I channel it through where it's kind of like, sometimes there's all these projections or judgments or stories from society or other people on like how we're supposed to live our life or what we are supposed to attain. But it's like, if you look at it like, okay, I'm going to be alive for, who knows how long, might not be forever, probably. What do I want to experience before I go? Like that really changes maybe even like your aims instead of just kind of like going about life like a zombie, like everyone else tells you to. Cause then it's like, oh, I actually would like to have a motorcycle and I would like to date this kind of person and I would like to have this kind of job. And I know sometimes we have to kind of give and take with life a little bit, ebb and flow with like, what are we meant to do? What's our destiny along with what are our desires sometimes. And sometimes a lot of the times I'd say our desire and destiny probably line up a lot anyways, like, cause we'll feel very fulfilled if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. But still, I make the list and try to do what you can do that makes sense to do and make it happen. Because it's like, in theory, I like to take the stance that we can always know anything, but at the same time, the common phrase goes, you never know, when you might go. So just keep that in mind and don't give your life to the man. That's kind of a joke, but actually what I mean is make sure you're doing what you'd like to do. Anyways, that's kind of it for that message. So let's move on to what they like. They are showing me a waterfall next. I feel like waterfalls, never mind. What's up with the waterfall here? They just want me to bring it through again to you because we talked about the water rafting because they're showing me a whitewater rafter. It looks like they're about to go over the waterfall, but God kind of scoops God's hand down, source's hand, spirit's hand. It kind of saves you, keeps you from going over, gets you on shore, like you're safe. So like you're not going to go over the waterfall, metaphorically, if you need to hear it again, or if you just tuned in and you just heard that and you're like, I'm afraid of this thing falling apart, and then you're like, no. So I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense and resonates, but we're going to move to the next thing here. There's going to be an orange. They're talking about emotional regulation. A lot of the times oranges, when I get messages, symbolize like sacral chakra, which goes to like emotional fields and your emotions and things that have to do with the sacral chakra. So for this instance, it is that essentially. It has to do with your emotions and emotional regulation. They're kind of just saying to keep your tools for emotional regulation in hand, like ready to go, whether that's meditation or you're meditating every day to build up your ability to observe and not get swept away with emotions, if that makes sense, or you have what you need on hand to help you with things. If things get rocky emotionally, or there are things that are like triggering happening or things like that, it's like the more you have those tools ready to go or in hand, or you're practicing them frequently, like weekly, daily, whatever it is, I feel like it's going to help this time period be better for you. Like could kind of make or break some of it in some ways, like if you are ready to go with some of that stuff. So I'd be doing your best to balance your emotions. And as far as like what your tools are and having that on hand, like I'd be like ready to meditate. And like, they're reminding me of something that I've heard other teachers or coaches or people talk about, where it's like, you just have a list of like, I heard this originally from like Lee Harris, who's another channeler, where it's like, for like self-care, it's like have a list of the things you enjoy doing that fill you up. And when you're like in like the throes of life and you're like, I don't know what to do, like you have the list, you're like, oh, you know what, it seems like going for a swim would really help me right now. And then you can go to a swim, have a swim. That's your self-care. It helps your emotions balance out or whatever. But there's also things like self-love is like, what are the things I love to give to myself? Or, I love drinking kombucha. Like, okay, I'm going to make sure I do something from this list every day to bring in some self-care, self-love kind of stuff and value myself or whatever. It's another route to do that or bring more of that energy in, because that might not be the only way. But so maybe you have either a list of tools on hand that help you emotionally regulate, and I don't care if it's energy tools, modality, meditation, you just keep that in mind to incorporate that over the next while here. I don't think it'll be like too long, but it could just help you persevere where maybe it would be more difficult in certain circumstances. So that's probably enough of that topic. They're showing me a laptop next, and they're giving me the words new computer. Some of you might be getting a new computer, very random, but cool. I also just feel like things are like replacing themselves in your life, but even it could even just be things like computers, laptops, iPads, phones, TVs, or maybe you're replacing some of these things in your life, and it's just like a sign of turnover in your life or signs of new cycles beginning, or like all these things in your life turning over, if that makes sense. And by turnover, I mean like you mostly probably get it, but you know how like companies or businesses, their employee turnover is how quickly people come in, work, and then leave and get replaced. So that's what I mean by turnover. You probably knew that, but in case anyone needed some assistance with that word. Like some of you are younger, probably, and you haven't worked and heard corporate phrases, and some of you are too familiar and want me to shut up and move on. But anyways, that's just like a sign like the cycle is changing. It's like things in your life turning over and being replaced, if that makes sense. They're also showing me like a new car. It's like specifically a Mustang. Or also there was like a Thunderbird that they showed me, which is kind of older as far as vehicles go, I believe. But let me see what this message here. So here's like a really different message. Like the message is like we have new technology coming to Earth that's going to be birthing soon, like in the collective. So I kind of literally mean like technology where it's just like new types of cars or transportation maybe, or new types of computers or phones that work better, or just different things. Why is that important to bring through right now? I feel like it's just happening. You might also have new technology coming in your personal world where it's like how you cope with situations, or even like energetic technology, so to speak, like a new modality that you learn or something like that. There's like a lot of new technology coming, especially over the next few years. So I don't know why that is coming through as a message, but or what the importance is, but anything I need to know about that or you guys need to know about that? It might even just be kind of for fun that they're saying that, but okay, that's cool. I mean, the other thing I'll talk about, and we'll see if they segue this into a message for you or something, but I remember sitting in a car one time and I was just kind of put my awareness on the concept of, this is going to be so hard to describe into words, so help me out, universe. Like my awareness I just put it on the concept of like driving, cars, roads, like all of it, like the technology of it or whatever you want to say. And I was just like, the cognizant knowing that kid, he was like, oh, there's a better way. Like there's just a better way than this. So I get the information on what exactly that would be? No, will it become drones or something like that? Possibly, but I'm going to leave it open to the universe to bring it in, I suppose. So I wouldn't be surprised I don't think that's going to change like right away or like tomorrow. Hoverboards would be sweet. Beep leaf. I just saw in the chat, but sorry, I lost my train of where we were going with that. But I don't know. It just wouldn't surprise me if like those better ways started to come in just over the course of the next century, like from now going forward. Kind of like technology has been improving, but I feel like there are leaps are coming. Leaps are coming in the next 50 years is something I'm hearing. So new technologies, even like sustainability wise. There might be new like political movements as well that really change things in the next 100 years or so, which thank God, because I think we need things to change, honestly. I feel like some of these messages just coming through for you because there just is new coming. And sometimes we find ourselves thinking the world is stagnant or nothing is changing, but everything's about to. So just keep that in mind is what I'd say. And And you might just have new things coming in for you as well that are drastically new, like new ways of doing things, drastically new hobbies, drastically new types of relationships, or types of relationships you never had before. Maybe like the person's a different type of person, or things like that. So I'd be open to unexpected and just vastly different things coming into your world, because I actually feel like that's what's needed in some ways, as opposed to things looking like the past, or things even having a resemblance of how things used to be for you, if that makes sense, even in your personal world, but also kind of collectively. So strange message, but cool. And there's one more. It's about freedom. I do feel like just freedom is coming in for you. Typically, they show me motorcycles to symbolize freedom, and or that's one of the symbols they'll use. That's what I'm seeing for you as well. While they're giving me that message that freedom's coming in for you. So I get that it just is. So I don't have any. I don't know what else I have to add to that. I think I'm going to close the reading soon, so we're going to see what comes through just as the last few, visuals, messages, well, they're all meant to be channel. They're all channel messages, but show me a lollipop as well. And they're showing how like there are these types of lollipops that have something in the center, like a Tootsie Roll or gum or whatever. And in this scenario, it's like you get to the center of this lollipop, and then it's like nothing. It's like the reward is like hidden in some way for you, like getting to the center of this lollipop. So one message for you is like rewards you've missed out on are coming in, like rewards you've missed out on in the past. Like maybe someone in the past told you, like, if you do X, Y, Z and do this, you'll get this. And then like maybe you did all that, and then it was just like nothing. And you're like, come on, universe. Like I thought we had a deal here, or a plan or something here. But then the reward comes in like a year later or something like that, or like a month later. It's like just delayed for some reason. It's like delayed gratification. And I'm not, I don't know why this is coming up, but if you feel like you got stiffed on rewards in some way, they're coming in. It could even be like you watched a reading, or maybe you even booked a personal reading, and the person was like, oh, you have love coming in this year around this time. And maybe even like everyone around you, like that was like telling you that, and then like it didn't happen, and you're like, what gives? And then like a year later it comes in, or it's like delayed in some way, and you're like, where was my gum in the center of the Tootsie Cup? But then like the universe like delivers a truckload of gum to you or something like that is what they're showing me. So I feel like you will be getting more. It was delayed for a reason, but there are certain delayed rewards on the way, is what they're showing me with that one. They were showing me a Jolly Rancher for a bit, and what's up with that one? A very weird way for them to bring in the message, but Jolly Ranchers are kind of clear, if I remember correctly. Like they're kind of see-through. They're not like a flat pane of glass, so I'm sure if you try to look through a Jolly Rancher, it'd look all weird, but I feel like not in a way where things look all weird and distorted. I feel like things are going to become clearer for you, especially regarding next steps, which came through in the collective reading, but also like as far as what you have to do to bring certain things in, which could be a struggle for some of you, because sometimes there's like the thing we would like to have, and we're like, okay, but what do I do? Or it's like someone might be like, oh, this thing's coming. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And it's just like not clear, but I feel like it's becoming clear, that's a blessing. That's a good thing. Last thing they're showing me is deer, like deer spirit animal. It's like a doe specifically. I guess there's a buck showing up too. Moose spirit animal showing up on the fringe on the side here. But let me see what the message is with deer. Deer typically has to do with gentleness when it shows up for me. I do want to emphasize you're going on the right direction. Going in the right direction is what I'm getting. But I would also remind you, what I'm getting is to remind you to be gentle on yourself. And almost like they're saying like be like a deer spirit animal, but as far as how to be like deer spirit animal, it's like being gentle on yourself, doing your best to move with grace, trusting your instincts. I guess most spirit animals would have to do with trusting your instincts, but whatever. There's also just a lot of grace coming in for you. Maybe you want to look up in Google deer spirit animal and see if anything else makes sense for you as far as like what that might be saying to you, by the way, when I say be like deer spirit animal, or as far as messages coming in for you. So what else with that? There is like grace coming in for you, especially where there's been none, or you feel like you've been all on your own, like struggling against the world, maybe some of you, or in some way. There's grace coming in for you in those roads. So be a little bit patient, but that's coming. as far as Moose showing up here, they're just saying Moose was there as a sign, so there's no reason for me to get into that. So, okay. Well, that was it for the reading. We're going to do probably a full channel mode in a second. I'm going to take a second to hang out, I think, with y'all, and then we'll do that. But hopefully that was helpful, resonated, do whatever was for you guys good. I feel like, yeah, I feel like the readings have been a little bit different than normal today, but I hope they're still helpful. We have done fire signs. We have done all the signs already. Came at the perfect time and got chills with the way these messages resonated. I'm in awe. Well, I'm glad to hear it, Jillian. Thank you so much for letting me know and for the feedback. And I'm so glad you got the perfect messages and or the things you needed to hear at least. So. I'll answer this real quickly. Sorry, I saw this. They told me to answer it, and I don't always do a ton of like personal questions on the lives. Just we talked about that at the beginning of the live. Like that's used to be all I do in the lives, but it got very. That's a different thing. Anyways, the username is some bitch, which is hilarious. But the question is, any guidance on if I'm headed on the rise path or if I should deviate? What I get is like you're mostly on like the best path. They were saying like you should deviate, but it's like they were also saying like be patient on that. Like you don't have to do anything about that yet. It's like it will become clear. So I wouldn't force any moves on that. Just like keep going till you know what you do to do, if that makes sense. I feel like there's a better way for me to clarify it though for you. So what's the best thing to say here? It's like you're going to deviate, but don't make any sudden moves, if that makes sense. Like unless you really have to. But hopefully that makes sense as a message. You're welcome, Amanda. Your messages are always helpful. Thanks, Heather. So glad to hear it. Thank you. Nice haircut. Thanks, Jillian. I appreciate it. Oh, I need to drink water before my voice. It's like the dry desert. Wisping sandy messages across your ears. Sorry. No, don't be sorry. Sorry about the username, Ella, but thank you. You're welcome. honestly, they don't want me to talk about it too much, but no judgment. I thought it was really funny, and I'm sure you did it as for humor too. So no worries. Marina, I feel like that'll turn around for you in a good way. So we're going to do a full channel mode message next. For those of you new, I mean, most of you are familiar, I think, or a certain amount of you are, but full channel mode, I just let my spirit guides, angels, and source channel directly through me for a message for you. I step out of the way or however that works. And, maybe I should work on my descriptions on all that, but really they speak through me. They deliver like the verbal messages, and which is meant to be something that's helpful for you to hear. But there's also the energetic transmission, which is a really, maybe even the main part, but I don't want to limit it either or part, where it just does some type of almost energy healing type stuff for your highest good, or upgrades, or just whatever is for your highest good, either regarding the topic or just in general. So it's also meant to be a very energetic experience. You can also open up your intuition or channeling or third eye if it's for the highest good or help you in that arena. So there have been times where back in the day, I would listen to like a channeler, and then my guides would have me like start channeling, or I'd notice my own channeling open up a lot as I was listening to the full channel mode message. So you might find that's happening, but you know, one of my intentions is just whatever is for the highest good and highest and best for each of you respectively regarding the message. I'm gonna drink a lot more water, so I don't know. I was gonna make a joke, but I don't think I should make that joke. I don't know, you know, like there's celebrities who have raspier voices, but I didn't want to accidentally be mean or anything. So Because it's not even like they have bad voices. So it's just... Okay, so they would like me to start right now. And I already went through the thing. So I'm just... What usually happens is I cough and then you do like a little spirit guide laugh and then they start talking. And so that should happen in the next minute or so. And I'm just going to see you... just going to get in the zone and then they'll start. So here we go. Welcome to your upgrade. In some ways, we hesitate to bring this message through, for we've brought similar messages through before. But this will be about magic and upgrades. It is simply a topic you need, and a topic that is so common that it's going on for everyone here. So, if you've heard other channels about upgrades from us or magic, this one will be slightly different, for there's a different angle we need to take. But it will hit in the ways that you need it to energetically regarding this topic. For there are certain things that have developed through Source in the collective that are making upgrades go higher than they were going to previously. A lot of people are throwing their light into the collective upgrading in a way. Not in a way where it drains them or harms them. It's just that intention is being held higher. So brace yourselves for change because of the upgrades that are coming into the collective more than ever before. We've said this over and over and over again of late, but the topic keeps expanding, accelerating, and going higher. This does not mean that things will be devastating as these changes occur, for there are pathways opening up of grace for change to occur with ease for the human, for the being incarnate on all levels for the highest good. For as you go higher, ease is part of the frequency you discover on Earth, even in transition and change. So you might find it easier to let go of certain things, transition, upgrade, become a different person, become a more evolved person. Allow change. This does not mean you will be a master overnight at allowing change, at not being afraid when change rears its head, so to speak. We would say ugly, but it is not always ugly when change rears its head. Sometimes it's the most handsome face you've seen, or the most beautiful face you've seen. But you fear the change because of what you might lose. That is why we prepare you for change so frequently in readings that we bring through, in channelings we bring through, to prepare you for the future. And that's what all this upgrade talk has been about. Preparation for the future. But ease is a frequency that is going to be hitting the collective more. And before you celebrate too much, just know that there are still things being worked out of the systems of humanity, even certain plants or animals who are also transitioning with the waves of light and upgrades hitting the earth. There is still stuff being worked out of the system. So we are not promising it will be easy tomorrow. We are just saying in the future, and you may notice it now as well, there will be more ease as a result of the light hitting the collective. And sometimes when darkness is forced to scatter as a result of the upgrades, increased lights, higher frequencies, that can be the most tumultuous time. And it's leading you in the best directions, but it's also forcing you to release, it's forcing you to transition, it's forcing you to become someone new and re-identify with a higher you or a different you. And when that light comes in, that can cause turmoil. And many of you have been blasted with light recently. Not just because of Brandon or a healer you saw, though all that work, whether it be energy healers, readers, channelers, can be important to the path and the journey, but also because you agreed to go higher. Your soul came here to go higher, and bring that higher frequency here to help ascend the collective, to help upgrade everything, to help transition the earth. And this will be nothing new for many of you. You've heard these messages for years along your journey. For some of you, it's more recent, but we digress. When the light comes in, it forces the darkness to scatter. That is what many of you are going through. Not that you are inundated in darkness, not that you have darkness in your soul or anything silly such as those words. Because of the patterns of humanity, because of your ancestry, because of past lives, because of what's already here. This is a time of the light. We tell you all of this and remind you of this message again because so many of you blame yourselves, even for the darkness you see in your life or the world, for the release you go through, for the choices you make. And while it's good to take responsibility, ownership, accountability, as is required and as is for the highest good in a healthy amount, you can't blame yourself for everything. Not everything is your fault. And you having to release because light is hitting you is not necessarily all your fault. In some ways, yes, you agreed to it. Maybe you made a choice to imbibe that light, go to an event that brought in a lot of light, yada yada. You understand. But you also did not volunteer to suffer forever, or suffer in darkness, or allow darkness to consume you. So do not be afraid of the lights or the release you will need to go through in certain parts of your journey until this ease starts to become more common, we've been speaking of. But you also don't need to rush. You don't need to rush yourself through the release. You don't need to blame yourself for the release or your ancestry. You do not need to blame yourself for every single bad thing that's ever happened to you. Everywhere things have gone wrong, you are healing that. You are healing everything. You are all healers. Even if you do not identify as a light worker, Reiki master, energy healer, doing one-on-one sessions, you bring healing to this world by unveiling yourself, by healing you, by imbibing the lights. And again, you do not have to make it your mission to the degree it ruins your life for the amount of healing you must go through to try to save the collective. That is not necessarily a wise path. Keep it balanced. Know you are doing your part as long as you are doing your work. And it doesn't all have to be on you. The upgrades will hit you regardless, and you can ask for them. You can be a part of this process more consciously. You do not have to wait around for them. But you also do not need to force yourself through so much healing all the time that is detrimental to your well-being, or is taking over your world so much to the degree that you're no longer in joy for years on end. A brief healing crisis is understandable. A healing crisis that goes on for a while is also understandable. But if that's your whole world, something must change. You're not here to save everything. You're here to play your role. You're not here to suffer for the collective. We say that frequently. But it's good to have that reminder in a world that at times celebrates suffering. For if you are suffering, the world is suffering in some way. Again, not to put it all on you. But we are talking about that as above, so below concept once more. If you are putting yourself through suffering to save the world, you are not saving the world. Some of you might have to go through something difficult to heal something, but that's not the same thing. Some of you find yourselves suffering, and that's something you're working through. Not the same thing as intentionally being a martyr or attempting to be. So will you imbibe the light at the rate that's right for you? Not necessarily at a rate that destroys your world, unless you truly desire that, which none of you really do, to help upgrade all. That's what you're doing. So we hope these reminders have been helpful. Some of you just need to be reminded not to put it all on you. Not to blame yourself for the darkness. Not to blame yourself for the world that you live in. But also to own your role. Not trying to save everything, but doing what you're meant to do. The universe has it taken care of. One of the great truths is that the universe has it taken care of. There's divine guidance in everything. Every upgrade, every choice that comes your way, every person that crosses your path, even if it doesn't seem like it. We're not saying every single person in the airports on a busy day is your soulmates. But there are groups who are meant to encounter in certain ways energetically that are either helping you or teaching something you need to know. Or you are having an impact on that group by you being you. There's alignment in that way. So know you are having the impact you came here to have. And the universe has the rest taken care of. If you were to trust that your path was taken care of, would you relax? Would you have more ease? Would you trust the journey? Some of you are trying to force a hand that is not yours to force in your journey. So let the universe play its cards. Do what you're guided to do for the best of your ability. But no, even if you feel you messed that up, you are getting a lesson for your future, for similar circumstances, or to help others. Not that it is your path to always mess up. But if you will allow a certain degree of trust with the light coming in, the events playing out, the changes occurring, you will see the divine orchestration in all things. Especially after the events play out. You might get signs during, but the human part of you might not trust as much, but it will learn. Part of this journey is learning to trust. And learning to trust the divine guidance of all things. Even if, when you do not see the big picture. So, know that you are releasing darkness. Know the world is releasing darkness. And know you are ready for the next steps. Because Source has them planned out for you. And you will take them when you are ready. So don't be a savior, but go play your role. And we will see you in a future channel, most of you. We wish you well. We wish you upgrades that would be for your highest good. We trust that magic will find you in the best ways. And one last thing. You are the light you seek. That might sound cryptic, stereotypical even, but you are the light. You came here to be light. So never think you are darkness. Never think you are darkness on this planet. None of you are. And none of you are a burden. And none of you have reached a point where you are disdained by anything in the etheric. such as angels, spirit guides, source. You cannot be disdained up there. You are cherished. You are celebrated. And even when you make mistakes on your journey, the universe is there, cherishing you for what you are and helping you to be a better you. You are not judged up there. Judging is a human thing. It's leaving the planet slowly, but eventually you will have a better world. We are signing off for now, the Angelic Collective of Zorbital and Source, and we will see you in the future. Farewell. Thank you. Needed to hear this message. You're welcome, Lauren. I'm super glad to hear it. Super glad it got to you. Cool. Thank you, guys. Super glad to hear. It's beautiful. You're welcome. Needed this? Perfect. I'm glad it got to you. I'm crying so hard, but for happiness. Oh, that's a good sign for the channel. So thank you, Two Bowls and a Pug, for letting me know. You're welcome, guys. I felt so confused and anxious. This helped a lot. So glad to hear it. Super glad to hear it. Very grateful to be here. This is exactly what I needed. Awesome, Jillian. I'm super, super glad to hear it. Thanks, Healing with Angels 7. You're great too. Whoop. Thank you, Unbreakable Spirit. Thank you, Simona Lisa. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Or you're welcome. Am I always on Sunday? What time? Yeah, I tend to go on at 3 p.m. North American Central Time on Sundays. Is the current time I'll go on Sunday right now. I do repost these on YouTube when I'm able to. So as long as TikTok didn't mess up the recording this, then I'll be able to repost it. You're welcome, Tiffany. Thank you so much. Just before the sunshine blinds you, Brandon. Oh yeah, it's creeping up, isn't it? I'm sorry, that probably messes with the the lighting here a little bit, so I apologize for that. I can come down here. No, that doesn't work. Who's ready for change? Yeah, apparently we all should be. Lexi. You're so welcome, Jessica Johnson. So good to see you here again. I had just had a reset from the stress I just went through. Needed this. Thank you. So glad to hear it. That's amazing. You're welcome, Brett. Thank you for letting me know. How does it get even better than that? Wishing you an amazing day, week. You as well, Beep Leaf, which I love that username. Until whenever the guidance, words, and energy is so appreciated. Perfect. So glad to hear it. Oh, this is a big part of my self-care. I gain so much from your messages. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Jillian. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Authentic Mystic. You're welcome, Jessica. You're welcome, Kate. Thank you, guys. We might hang out for a little bit, but I think we're done. I love you guys too, Marina. I super appreciate getting to do this for you guys, and I super appreciate all the feedback and that this is so helpful for you guys. It means the world that I get to do this, and it's helpful. Meredith Marie asked, can you tell us one more time who you were channeling, angels, or can you explain who it's coming from? Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of like spirit guides, the angels, and source. A bit of the story briefly behind the Angelic Collective of Zorbitals, the name they gave me for them. They originally, when I asked if they had a name, because there's a lot of channelers who say like, oh, I channel the Pleiadians, or I channel this group with this name or something like that. And they're like, we don't have names up here. You know that. I'm like, you're right. But then they kind of came back and just gave me one anyways. And that's the one they gave me, which is the Angelic Collective of Zorbital with an X at the beginning. and a little accent on the I, which doesn't, I don't know if it matters that I tell you that, but pretty much it's a lot of it is the angels, as I'd say, and source. And my understanding, I feel like I'm going too far in explaining this actually, so I'll hold off on that, but hopefully that answers it more for you. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear it. 333, light and love. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, Meredith. Hope that answered it. I know it was, there's a longer story involved with that, but I don't know if it's always, sometimes the shorter version is the better one in certain scenarios. So again, super appreciate getting to do this for you and super appreciate hanging out with you guys. Just some things that I have going on, just to talk about it as well. I do have a monthly membership that I do, which no obligation to sign up. I still do this every week, but if you ever want to go further with my work or have some longer direct channeling sessions to listen to channel guided meditations, that's on my website as well. I also have some classes I'm teaching coming up. I believe I'll be posting an intro to channeling class next month for anyone who feels called to it or drawn to it. And that one's cool because we do hold a lot of space for when we talk about, channeling, some best practices or just whatever I'm getting to say for the class that shows up that day as well. And then we hold space for you to practice channeling and start to hone, get that going or to realize you can channel and be like, oh, I can do this. And then there's also an attunement, which has had some really amazing feedback as well. So we'll see about posting that sometime soon. And then I do have some energy healing classes. Should I talk about this or should I stop promoting here? Again, if you're interested in classes, I have energy healing classes coming up with the modality I received, which has had really awesome feedback. So you can message me if you're interested or email or just check it out and see if you feel called to it. It's the 4 angelic fires is the first class. And so far we have 3 out of 4 classes for that modality ready to go. So that's exciting. And I guess the last thing I have going on is I do have just channeled MP3s. So it's there's like a channel guided exercise to help you. It's meant to help you create the highest and best day for you. So it's create the highest and best day for you, channel guided exercise. And it's like a 20-minute thing for like $10. And you can go through it every day to help improve the quality of your days. And it's meant to be a good channeled, like high frequency way to start the day. I also have other things available to you. So I think that's all I should talk about now. But yeah, and if you're interested, perfect. If not, I'll see you on the next live, hopefully, or somewhere here on TikTok. And I will, yeah, I guess that's what I have to promote right now. I'd like to find a smoother way to transition into promoting. So what is the class? So there's the intro to channeling is going to be coming up next month. I haven't posted it yet. And then 4 angelic fires, an energy tool, is the first class for the modality that I'm teaching, the source fires. And that's just actively being built, I suppose, but hopefully that is cool. Love the membership. Thank you, Stacy. And I'm super glad that you do, of course. Lady says, I feel bad for people who are, I must have missed someone must have said something and I missed it. Oh, thank you, Marina. I appreciate it. But I think that's it. I think that's what I have to talk about right now on all that. I suppose I'm still figuring out like what I'm posting on Instagram and things like that. I feel like I'm in the middle of a transition, so we'll see where, as far as like my work, so we'll see where it all goes. But I think that's it. So thank you guys for those of you supporting and encouraging me to promote myself. I really appreciate that, honestly. You're welcome, Spence, and thank you. And you're welcome, Dana. Thanks, Divine Healing. Me too. We'll see. Oh, 70K likes. Oh, awesome. And also, thanks for everyone who liked. Your book was super helpful for me. Thank you for writing it. Oh, yeah. I have a book that I channeled. I have it right here, actually. Spirit Guides, Angels, and Speaking with Source. And it's just meant to be, just a channeled messages on opening and learning to channel. I'd really like to either make a 2.0 of this book or an addition to it that has also some practical notes. Not that this isn't practical, but just more direct, like either exercises or practices or just practical notes I've learned since channeling that through, and like as I've gone further on my journey, as I've taught people to channel a bit more. So I'm sitting with doing that eventually, but I haven't done that yet. So it's such a gift. Has been very activating. Yeah, and one of the main things, you have that book? Heck yeah. One of the main things with this book is like the energetics of it and like the downloads, the channel transmission along with it. So thanks for reminding me about that, because that is definitely a big thing. And there have been times like, never mind. That's what I'll say. Yeah, you can scroll. Yeah, thank you. You can get it on my Linktree or website. I think has a link to it, but it is on Amazon, but I think there are other stores you can also buy it from if you don't like Amazon. So I understand. But that is that guy. But thank you guys for reminding me about that. I completely, sometimes I forget that it exists, or just forget to mention it. For what it's worth, I got a second edition for what it's called to be. Yeah, exactly. Like that would be perfect. I'd love to have virtual coffee sometime. Oh, that sounds interesting. Like just like a live or. I love Amazon a little too much. I also understand that. Oh, thanks 333 Light and Love. But more importantly, I hope you just get what is for the highest good for you to get from it, and it's really helpful for you in some way, or does whatever is for the highest good. You are welcome. So they're telling me to start closing the live now. So again, I've said this 10 bajillion times, but so awesome to get to do this for you. Could you make a workbook edition with your added content and room for notes? Potentially. That could be a really cool idea, actually. So yeah, I'll stay with all that and see what I get to do. But I think those are good ideas. Okay, so I love you guys. I appreciate this, and I'm wishing you a fantastic week ahead, a beautiful life. Hopefully I get to see you again, but might as well wish you a beautiful life anyways, because why not? And I should be back next week. I'm moving, but I think I'll have everything ready to go by next Sunday. But actually, I'm not sure now that I think about it. So we'll see. I'll let you know. But I'm going to... Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, 333. Light and Love, was that? Yeah, Light and Love. Brandon, I hope you feel confident and good about your new look. It's banging, no regrets. Thanks, Lainey Lethal. I super appreciate it. Super appreciate it. All right, guys, you take care. And I don't know if Advisor Kim A is a bot or what, but I'm going to close it now. Y'all have a good day.